Chapter 2755 Big Business. Phone reading. Happy New Year, fellow book lovers, and I would also like to thank the Lord Zhuang Shengxiao for the 50,000 red rewards given by Butterfly A. Thank you, Lord Butterfly. But Xiao Mo is ashamed. There should be only one update today. The Chinese New Year men here have a lot of busy things, and they will have to prepare lunch for the Chinese New Year later. Forgive me. All. Kong Saran was taken aback. That was 30 million middle-grade source crystals, not 30 million low-grade source crystals. Even if it was replaced with high-grade source crystals, it would be worth 300,000 yuan. All. Yang Kai nodded seriously. Kong Saran immediately realized that this was probably the biggest deal he had negotiated. With this deal as a base, even if he was transferred, he wouldn't be transferred to a place where no shit would happen. Before the color of surprise emerged, Yang Kai said, "In addition, I have to entrust Brother Kong to continue to help me purchase Kongling Jing and Kongling Yu, as much as I want." Hiss. Kong Saran took a breath. Void Spirit Crystal and Void Spirit Jade are basically used to refine space rings, but in the star world, space rings are not considered valuable things. Many warriors have a dozen spares on them. Throwing a space ring in the past is easy and trouble-free. So the demand for these two materials is not too great. Yang Kai actually wrapped up the materials of the 30 million middle-grade source crystals in one breath, and let him continue to buy them. How many space rings does this need to refine? After settling his mind, Kong Saran said, "The branch only has 30 million mid-grade source crystals, there should be more in the general meeting, and they can be transferred from other branches." "Brother Yang, are you sure how much you want? Then it's not a small sum. One branch is 30 million middle-grade source crystals, 10 is 300 million, and 100 is 3 billion. The Zigen Chamber of Commerce has hundreds of branches in the southern region. If it is really purchased in this way, tens of millions of high-grade source crystals will definitely be needed." Tens of millions, still a high-grade source crystal. It's definitely a huge deal. If this single business is successful, the performance is enough for Kong Saran to be promoted to the president of a branch. It's just that this cultivation base is a bit weak, not enough to convince the public. After all, the Chamber of Commerce stipulates only Emperor Senior Realm can serve as the president of the branch. If someone else came to talk to Kong Saran about such a business, he would not persuade him anything, and he would definitely agree to it, but it was Yang Kai who came to talk about business. How could Kong Saran not consider him? Fearing that Yang Kai didn't know the importance, Kong Saran calculated the number with him. "Sure." Yang Kai smiled slightly and said, "Brother Kong can't be the master." Kong Saran said sternly, "Such a big business, I, a little manager, really can't decide." Yang Kai was joking casually, but he didn't know that it was actually the case. Can't help being stunned. Kong Saran said, "Brother Yang, if you really want to do this business, Kong will ask the president to come over and talk to you in person." Yang Kai said, "All right. Wait a minute," Kong Saran said, and immediately opened the door to the outsider. Outside the door, seeing Kong Saran coming out, Ji Yuhong smiled slightly and said, "Guan Kong, how is the talk going? Do you need Gu's help?" Kong Saran snorted, "Don't bother to take care of things." Ji Yuhong snorted lightly, flicked his sleeves and said, "I don't know how to flatter." In front of Yang Kai, he needs to maintain the image of the Chamber of Commerce. Naturally, she couldn't show any facial expressions, but with Kong Saran, there was no need to bear it. Seeing Kong Saran walking straight upstairs, Ji Yuhong frowned. Looking at this posture, it seems that he wants to find the president. Could it be that this big business can't even be a manager? Thinking of this, Ji Yuhong was startled. If this is the case, then Kong Saran's contribution will be great. Maybe he can stabilize his position in this chapter. There was a burst of urgency in my heart, and worry appeared on my face. After a period of time, there will be a guy with a background from the General Assembly to take up the post of steward, but the number of stewards for each branch is fixed, that is to say, if someone comes down, the steward here has to make room. Originally, based on performance and cultivation, the person who gave up his position was definitely Kong Saran, but if Kong Saran's position was stabilized, it might be Ji Yuhong's turn. Anyway, no matter who it is, one has to go. Fengguan City is a good place, there are many fighters, and the transaction volume is huge, so why is Ji Yuhong willing to leave? 1 year of hard work here is worth 2 or 3 years of hard work in other clubs. That's why he made things difficult for Kong Saran and robbed him of his business, just to make Kong Saran lose his hope of staying here and be transferred away in an orderly manner. Now it is possible to fall short. This made Ji Yuhong startled and angry. While his thoughts were in a state of confusion, Ji Yuhong saw the chairman walking down with Kong Saran. Ji Yuhong's face changed. This business really alarmed the chairman. How big is it? Feeling uneasy for a while, how could this Kong Saran have such good luck? In front of the private room, Kong Saran gently knocked on the door, and after receiving Yang Kai's response, he opened the door and respectfully said, "President, please." A half-grown old man with a short stature walked in, his eyes swept towards Yang Kai like lightning. Yang Kai raised his brows, stood up and cupped his fists and said, "I've seen President Liu." The branch president sitting in Fenggalan City is actually Liu Kai, the vice president of the entire Ziwan Chamber of Commerce. It can be seen how much Ziwan Chamber of Commerce attaches importance to Fenggalan City. Yang Kai had seen him in the early years, so naturally he would not forget it. "Do you recognize the old man?" Liu Kai was a little surprised. Although he is the vice president of the Ziwan Chamber of Commerce and the president of the Fenggalan City branch, he usually lives reclusively and few people have seen him, but now he is recognized by Yang Kai at a glance. "Come out," naturally surprised, but after a closer look, I vaguely feel that Yang Kai looks familiar, as if he has seen it somewhere. Liu Kai was surprised when his divine sense was swept out, because he found that the young man in front of him actually had a cultivation level not inferior to his, and he was at the first level of Emperor Senior. Originally, after listening to Kong Saran's report that a friend of his was coming to discuss a big business deal, Liu Kai hadn't paid much attention to it. What kind of friends can someone with such a cultivation level as Kong Saran have? Only now did I realize that I was wrong. This person was actually in the Emperor Senior realm. Immediately received a trace of contempt, smiled and said, "I seem to have met little friend somewhere." Yang Kai smiled and said, "When the 5-color pagoda of the Star God Palace was opened in Fenggalan City, the kid was there, and when the Land of 4 Seasons was opened, I was also there." Liu Kai thought for a while, his eyes lit up, and said, "You are Yang Kai." Liu Qi's complexion darkened, and he said in a low voice, "You are so courageous, you dare to show up so openly." His complexion changed very quickly. Kong Saran was taken aback, wondering where Yang Kai offended Liu Kai. Yang Kai was stunned for a moment, but he quickly understood why he had such an attitude. It should be related to the matter of Xingshan Palace. There are some things that Kong Saran can't touch, but Liu Kai can. He smiled and said, "You have a clear conscience, why don't you dare show yourself?" Liu Kai stared at him, and said lightly, "It's really bold, but it's not that you know your fate." Yang Kai Dao, does President Liu want to talk about business, or do you want to let it go? If not, I can go to Qiao Chamber of Commerce. I believe they should be very interested in this business. Talk, why don't you talk about it? Liu Kai snorted. Yang Kai deliberately used Ziwan Chamber of Commerce's old rival, Qiao Chamber of Commerce, to talk about it, obviously trying to catch him, but this business is business, Liu Kai will not let it go. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to signal. Liu Kai sat down immediately, and said, "Little friend, please sit down too." Yang Kai glanced at Kong Saran who was standing beside Liu Kai. Liu Kai said, "Guan Kong should sit down too." He muttered in his heart, does Yang Kai value Kong Saran so much? The relationship between the two seems to be very good. Kong Saran was a little apprehensive, but since Liu Kai spoke, he could only sit beside him with a slightly reserved expression. Liu Kai cut to the chase and said, "I heard from Guanxi Kong that the business you want to talk about is worth tens of millions of high-grade source crystals." "Exactly. I don't know if President Liu can eat it." Yang Kai nodded. Liu Kai laughed and said, "There is no business in this world that my Ziwan Chamber of Commerce can't handle. I just don't know why my little friend wants so many Kongaling crystals and jades." Yang Kai smiled and said, "Isn't this something President Liu should care about?" Liu Kai was taken aback, then smiled and said, "This old man talks too much." After pondering for a while, he said, "The quantity of goods that my little friend needs is too huge. It's not that this old man doesn't trust you, it's just that you should show some sincerity." Quote. As soon as the words fell, Yang Kai threw out a space ring. "This is a deposit, President Liu will see if he is satisfied." Liu Kai took it, swept in with his divine sense, and immediately saw high-grade source crystals piled up like a hill, at least tens of millions. With a solemn expression, knowing that Yang Kai is indeed qualified to trade with the Chamber of Commerce, he nodded and said, "Very good, my friend is a person of integrity, and the old man is also refreshing. Within 2 months, the old man can transfer 4,000 worth of money for you." Wanshengpin Yuanjing supplies. I hope that my little friend can bring enough yuanjing to our Chamber of Commerce, and both money and goods will be settled. Yes, Yang Kai nodded, but I have one condition. Lu Kai said. My little friend, please tell me. Yang Kai looked at Kong Saran and said, I'm only going to hand over this matter to Kong Guanxi, other people don't need to talk about it. Lu Kai frowned. Why is this? Could it be that my little friend can't trust me, Ziwen Chamber of Commerce? Yang Kai shook his head and said, the name of the Chamber of Commerce is there, how can I not believe it, but I have a close relationship with Kong Guanxi, so it is more reassuring to hand over to him. Lu Kai couldn't help showing a look of embarrassment, because in a month or two, Kong Saran must be transferred away, and no one will be in Fenggalan City by then, how to hand over to Yang Kai. But this business can bring huge benefits to the Chamber of Commerce, so Lu Kai can't help but think carefully. He raised his eyes and said, little friend, is this trying to help Kong manage things? He vaguely guessed Yang Kai's intention, he just wanted to use this method to keep Kong Saran in the rich land of Fenggalan City. He shook his head and said, little friend, this move is meaningless, although doing so can make people feel happy. Manager Kong stayed in Fenggalan City for 2 months, but after the delivery of the supplies, those who should be transferred will still be transferred. Yang Kai frowned and said, President Lu can't do anything. Lu Kai said, this is the decision of the General Assembly, and the old man can't do anything about it. Kong Saran showed gratitude, and was about to speak. Yang Kai raised his hand to stop him, and said seriously, if I say, there are more business cooperation with Kong Guanxi. And it's a long-term cooperation. Lu Kai narrowed his eyes and said lightly, that depends on what kind of business it is. Yang Kai flicked it on the table, and a bright, round and plump inner alchemy the size of a longan's eye appeared on the table, and the billowing monster energy rushed towards his face in an instant. To be continued. This book comes from Pin and Shu Hash Wang. Chapter 2756 Long-Term Cooperation. Thank you Lao Ma for the Sky Lord, a reward of 100,000 floating red. Xiao Mo is here to give you all the lords, fellow book lovers Happy New Year. There will be a single chapter later. The 12th Order Inner Alchemy. Lu Kai was startled, his eyes shot out a burning light, and he took the inner alchemy from the table with his hands, squeezed it in his hand and played it carefully, and kept nodding his head and said, it really is. A 12th Order Inner Alchemy. The 12th Order Inner Alchemy can only be produced in the body of the 12th Order monster, and the 12th Order monster is equivalent to the existence of the Emperor. He, Lu Kai, was only a warrior at the first level of Emperor Senior. If he really encountered a 12th level monster, he might win or lose, or he would die under the bloody mouth of the monster. It can be said that the 12th Order Inner Alchemy is a rare item in the entire star world. The weak cannot get it, and even if the strong get it, they will not easily sell it. After all, the monster inner alchemy has a wide range of uses. It is enough to make countless people flock to it. It's a pity. Lu Kai sighed again. Kong Saran said, what a pity. He was also shocked. When he saw Yang Kai this time, he found that he suddenly didn't recognize Yang Kai. He had just talked about such a big business with him, and now he took out a 12th Order Inner Alchemy. Fortunately, Yang Kai's character is still the same as before, and has not changed much. He still remembers that when Yang Kai first arrived in Fenggalan City, it was relatively shabby, not to mention poor. How did he become so rich all of a sudden? Compared with him, my past 10 years have been in vain. It's a pity that this is just the inner alchemy of a 12th level low-grade monster. Well, it is equivalent to the first level of Emperor Zun. Lu Kai stroked his beard and shook his head. Both are 12th Order Inner Alchemy, but the quality and value are also very different. Just like there are 1, 2, and 3 layers in the Emperor Senior realm, and the value will be multiplied several times for each higher quality. How much is such an inner alchemy worth? Yang Kai asked. Lu Kai said, if my Chamber of Commerce buys it, it will be 2 million top-grade source crystals. The price is still fair. Yang Kai nodded slightly. For a 12th rank low-grade inner alchemy, the price is indeed almost the same. Of course, if you take it to the auction house of our Chamber of Commerce to auction, 3 million top-grade source crystals is also possible. Lu Kai smiled slightly. The business you mentioned before, doesn't it mean this? This is indeed a good deal. The inner alchemy of the 12th rank monster is in short supply wherever it is placed, but a low-grade inner alchemy is nothing. Although it is not common, the auction house occasionally encounters it. And what about this? Yang Kai casually tossed it again. Lu Kai took it instinctively, stared at it, his eyeballs suddenly rounded, and hissed, this. 12th rank high grade. Kong Saran also looked straight into the eyes. If there is no comparison with the low-grade inner alchemy before, Kong Saran may not have this vision, but the inner alchemy that appears now as compared with the previous one, whether it is the breath it emits or the feeling it gives people, have to be several grades stronger. This is definitely a top-grade inner alchemy of the 12th rank. That is equivalent to something that can only be conceived by a strong 3-layer mirror of Emperor Zun. Where did you get it, little friend? Lu Kai lost his composure and stood up abruptly. Yang Kai looked at him with a smile, his expression meaningful. Lu Kai twitched the corner of his mouth in embarrassment. The old man made a slip of the tongue. This kind of thing is not something he should inquire about. There are express regulations in the Chamber of Commerce. Fortunately, I was able to see a top-grade inner alchemy of the 12th rank. For a moment, the hand holding Needon was extremely strong, and he was reluctant to let go. How much is this inner alchemy worth? Yang Kai asked. 10 million, Lu Kai said in a deep voice, at least 10 million, if it is auctioned, 15 million is possible. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows, both were 12th rank inner alchemists, the price gap between the upper and lower grades was indeed a bit big. How is this business? Yang Kai asked with a smile. This business is really good. Lu Kai nodded earnestly. Yang Kai came here, and the two orders were both large orders exceeding tens of millions of high-grade source crystals, which was enough for him to receive them in person. This kind of large order is not easy to do. What happened? With these two business deals as a foundation, Kong Saran's performance will definitely skyrocket, leaving the other deacons in the branch far behind. It's just this kind of business. How can we cooperate for a long time? Lu Kai frowned. He really wanted to cooperate with Yang Kai for a long time, but how could it be so easy to get the 12th order monster inner alchemy, and he didn't know where Yang Kai got 2 of them, so he might not have such good luck next time. In the future, I will trade 2 12th rank inner pills with Brother Kong every year, regardless of the grade. This deal will last until Brother Kong leaves Fenggalan City. Lu Kai smiled wryly and said, after all, I still want to leave Guanxi Kong in Fenggalan City. It's not because I don't want to help, nor because I don't trust you. It's just that the 12th level inner alchemy, how about you, little friend? Can every year. At this point, Lu Qi's eyes suddenly widened, and he looked at the inner alchemy inserted between the 5 fingers of Yang Kai's right hand stupidly. No matter the size, color or breadth of those inner alchemy, each one was not inferior to the one he just had. The one I took out at the beginning. Looking at the left hand, it turned out to be the same. Gudong. Lu Kai was used to strong winds and waves, so he couldn't help swallowing at this moment. Just as he was about to take a closer look, Yang Kai turned his hands over, and the many inner alchemy suddenly disappeared again. They're all on the 12th level? Lu Kai asked in a daze. Yang Kai smiled and said, hearing is believing, seeing is believing, didn't President Lu see it himself? Lu Kai scratched his ears and said, can you sell all those inner pills? Don't even think about it. Yang Kai refused. Although he can't run out of Dando, he won't sell it at will. Lu Kai was depressed for a while, but the things belonged to others, and whether they could be sold or not depended on their mood, so he couldn't take them away. With a long sigh, Lu Kai tried his last effort. If you can sell all those inner pills to my Chamber of Commerce, I can give you a very favorable price. Don't sell it, don't sell it. Yang Kai waved his hands again and again. Lu Kai was dejected, and suddenly straightened his expression again, saying, well, my little friend does have the capital to cooperate with our Chamber of Commerce for a long time. The inner alchemy he saw just now has 8 pieces, in other words, they can cooperate 4 years. I will report this matter to the General Assembly. The old man cannot interfere with the decision of the General Assembly. Yang Kai smiled and said, President Lu is too modest, you are always the vice president anyway, you have a little right to speak, how can you not interfere? Well, how about this, if I can cooperate with Brother Kong for a long time, I will sell you 2 coins every 6 months. How about the 12th level inner alchemy? Half a year, 2 pieces. Lu Qi's expression brightened, and he squinted his eyes and said with a smile, so, don't worry, little friend, the old man over there will always talk a lot. Yang Kai clasped his fists and said, then there will be President Laulo. It's easy to talk about, let's talk about the rest. The old man will go and gather those empty crystals and ethereal jade for my little friend, so as not to miss the important event of my little friend. After talking, he stood up and put the 2 10 coins in his hand. The second-level inner alchemy was placed in Kong Saran's hands, and he sent a voice transmission with his spiritual thoughts, and after a few words of advice, he opened the door and walked out. The door was closed again. Kong Saran held the two inner pills. With a grateful expression on his face, he said, "Brother Yang, I don't want to thank you for your kindness. If you can use Kong in the future, just open your mouth." Yang Kai waved his hand and said, "Brother Kong is serious, I did this not only for you, but also for myself." Kong Saran naturally didn't believe it, thinking he was comforting himself. Yang Kai Dao, I recently established a sect, which is still in its infancy. If it develops in the future, there will be a huge demand for various materials. Ziwen Chamber of Commerce is a good partner. Brother Kong is here, and Ziwen the Chamber of Commerce will definitely not suffer a loss when trading. Kong Saran was startled and said, "Brother Yang, you actually started a sect?" This really shocked him. Although Yang Kai is already an emperor, not every emperor is qualified to start a sect. First of all, he must choose a good place, have extensive connections and strong strength, and recruit. There are all kinds of disciples, and they are very troublesome. Small trouble. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Kong Saran said seriously, "Brother Yang, don't worry, if there is any deal between the Guizhong and the Chamber of Commerce in the future, Kong will definitely do his best." Yang Kai smiled and said, "Brother Kong, I am naturally very relieved. Well, if one day you are unhappy in the Chamber of Commerce, welcome to my sect at any time." Kong Saran laughed loudly and said, "If you don't say that Guizhong will cooperate with the Chamber of Commerce in the future, I can go now." However, if Yang Kai's sect establishes a cooperation channel with Ziwen Chamber of Commerce in the future, it will be better for Yang Kai if he stays. After chatting for a while, Kong Saran said, "When the president left just now, he told me that if Brother Yang is willing to sell these two inner pills to the Chamber of Commerce, the Chamber of Commerce can produce 13 million source crystals." Yang Kai Dao, I will sell this inner alchemy naturally. Is there another way? Kong Saran said, "This is the first time we have cooperated. The president told you that it is convenient for you. You can sell it directly to my Chamber of Commerce, or let my Chamber of Commerce auction it on your behalf. In the future, there will be no option for auction." Yang Kai said without hesitation, "Just sell it to the Chamber of Commerce. Although doing so has suffered a bit, it is not higher than the auction price, but if it is entrusted to the Chamber of Commerce for auction, a certain handling fee will still be charged. When the time comes, it should not be much different from the selling price." Since he wanted to help Kong Saran, Yang Kai naturally wouldn't covet those petty gains. "All right," Kong Saran nodded, and said, "It just so happens that there will be an auction at the Chamber of Commerce tomorrow night. These two inner pills should be able to sell for a good price. Look at the source crystal that was sold, Brother Yang. Yang Kai Dao, even if it is on the account of purchasing Kongling Jing and Kongling Yu." "Okay." Kong Saran nodded. Yang Kai's straightforwardness made him realize that Yang Kai's net worth might be even more terrifying than he imagined, otherwise he wouldn't have put 10 to 20 million high-grade source crystals in his eyes. "By the way, Brother Kong, I have something to ask you." Kong Saran said, "Brother Yang, please tell me, is there any treasure armor for sale in the auction tomorrow night?" To read. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Happy New Year to everyone and update plan for the first month. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, Xiaomo is here to wish all the book lovers of Wulian a Happy New Year. I wish you all auspicious year of the monkey, good luck in everything, wishes come true, good health, and abundant wealth. In addition, the first month is relatively busy, visiting relatives, so the update of the first month may not be able to maintain 2 updates, but there is one thing Xiaomo can guarantee, it will never be interrupted. Above all, Happy Chinese New Year everyone, eat well, have fun and rest well. To be continued. Chapter 2757 Ziwen Auction. The leader of the alliance, Lao Ma, once again gave a reward of 100,000 yuan. Thanks to the leader of the old horse, I can finally buy some delicious food today. Emperor level middle grade treasure armor, may it meet Brother Yang's needs. Kong Saran smiled slightly. Emperor grade middle grade. Yang Kai's expression lifted. Is there an emperor grade middle grade treasure armor at the auction? Kong Saran nodded and said, "That's right, the finale treasure of this auction is an emperor level middle grade armor." This statement is true. Yang Kai was extremely pleasantly surprised. This time he came to the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce. first to buy Void Spirit Crystal and Void Spirit Jade to prepare for the future arrangement of the space magic formation, and secondly, to find a treasure armor. Yang Kai's requirements are not high, but he is still in the Emperor Senior stage, and he only wanted to find an Emperor-grade treasure armor, but he didn't expect that there was a middle-grade Emperor-grade armor here, which was much better than he expected. He didn't want to use the dragon transformation secret technique in the future and become ragged or even naked. Maybe a private transaction? Yang Kai asked. Most of the things in the auction house are deposited and auctioned by warriors, but there are also many that are found by the auction house itself. No matter what kind, the long-term cooperative relationship between Yang Kai and the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce is eligible to come. Private transaction. Saran said guiltily. I'm afraid it won't work. If it's another auction item, it's fine. This Emperor-level middle-grade treasure armor is on the stage as the finale treasure, and it was publicized 3 months ago. Lu, it is impossible for the president to agree to a private transaction with you. That's it. Yang Kai didn't show much disappointment. Since it is the finale treasure that has been publicized for a long time, he will definitely not sell it privately, because it will also have a great blow to the reputation of Ziwen Chamber of Commerce. It doesn't matter, I will go to the auction at that time. Saran said. Brother Yang, wait a moment, I'll prepare an invitation for you. He walked out while talking. Yang Kai waited for a while. Saran came back with a bronzing invitation card, handed it to Yang Kai and said, Shushi, tomorrow night, the auction will start on time. Brother Yang, come early, maybe you can meet something you like. Quote. Okay. Yang Kai took the invitation and stuffed it into the space ring. After a stick of incense, Yang Kai walked out of the private room and left the branch of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce. Randomly wandered around Fenggalan City, purchased some supplies, and spent a lot of yuan jing. Yang Kai returned to Qin's family. The Qin family is extremely busy now, and everyone is packing their things. Although it is a small family, they have thrived and lived here for thousands of years. If they want to leave here suddenly, the members of the Qin family are somewhat reluctant. However, under Qin Chaoyang's order, he could only obey even if he was reluctant to give up, and everything he could take away should be taken away. Yang Kai went around the Qin family, but he didn't find any trace of Qin Zhaoyang. Qin Yu has already left the customs, and immediately greeted Yang Kai with a face of joy. Brother Yang. Yang Kai smiled and nodded. I haven't seen you for a few years, and my cultivation has improved a lot. He had checked before. Qin Yu now has the cultivation base of Daoyuan 2nd level. This cultivation speed is already extremely fast. Maybe it has something to do with her world cut. Such a qualified warrior, as long as she is given enough time and space, must be able to grow up. It's all thanks to Brother Yang. Qin Yu crossed his fingers, stood in front of Yang Kai, slim, grateful. If there is no Brother Yang, I might die when I was 18. Brother Yang is my greatest benefactor. This is your fate, you don't need to thank me. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Where is your grandfather? Qin Yu stroked the hair next to his ear, and said, I'm leaving soon. Grandpa wants to sell the land deed of the Qin family, so he should go to the city lord's mansion. After a pause, he said, Brother Yang, are you going to the North Territory? Good. I heard that it's very cold in the northern region, full of wind and snow. Yang Kai said with a smile, the rumors are wrong. Although many places in the Northern Territory are really full of wind and snow, there are also many places where birds are singing and flowers are fragrant. I will take you to the latter place. When you get there, your Qin family will have a better life. Development of. Qin Yu's beautiful eyes lit up, and she couldn't help showing yearning and longing. You are busy, I will rest for a while. Yang Kai said, then walked towards the back hall. Looking at his back, Qin Yu opened his mouth, which turned into a sigh. One day passed quickly, and when the night fell on the second day, Yang Kai opened the door and walked out. In front of the door, Qin Yu was walking back and forth, looking very preoccupied. When he heard the movement, he looked up and saw Yang Kai appearing, and hurriedly said, Brother Yang, we are all ready. Qin Chaoyang also came over from not far away, and said solemnly, Brother Yang, everything is ready for the Qin family, when will we leave? Yang Kai Dao. Depart at Heishi, wait 500 miles southeast of the city, and there are still a group of people who want to join you. Who? Qin Zhaoyang was stunned. People from the Zhang family. Yang Kai replied. Qin Zhaoyang nodded and said, so it's them. The Zhang family and Yang Kai also seem to have a good relationship. Qin Zhaoyang knows this. After Yang Kai left, the Qin family also took care of the Zhang family, But in recent years the Qin family has been unable to take care of themselves, so naturally there is no ability to take care of the Zhang family. Now that he heard that members of the Zhang family would also go with them, Qin Zhaoyang couldn't help but feel a sense of sharing weal and woe. Brother Yang, where are you going? Qin Yu asked suddenly. I'm going to the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce's auction. I have something to buy. Yang Kai replied, and flew out as soon as he stepped on it. Suddenly, he stopped 10 feet away and looked back at Qin Yu. You want up? The anticipation on Qin Yu's face suddenly turned into joy, and she chased after her in a flash. Let's go, Yang Kai greeted, and the Emperor Yuan surged, wrapped Qin Yu, and disappeared over the Qin family in a stream of light. At the entrance of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce auction house, there were lights and festoons, and a long red carpet was rolled out, as if it was a festival, and it was very lively. The two managers, Kong Saran and Ji Yu Hong, lined up on the left and right, were welcoming the guests, with constant smiles on their faces, and clasped fists to greet the guests. Master Li Men, I haven't seen you for a long time, and you will be fine. A half-grown old man strode forward, and Ji Yu Hong immediately greeted him. Le Dongzheng smiled slightly, and said back, Ji Yu Guanxi is being polite. I heard that there will be many good things in this auction, so I'm here to join in the fun. Ji Yu Hong said. Master Li Men was joking, if you come to join in the fun, then no one will buy anything. Le Dongzheng said. You are busy, the old man is free. The reception is not good, Master Li Men, forgive me. Ji Yu Hong smiled apologetically, stretched out his hand, and immediately a good-looking maid came up and led Le Dongzheng towards the auction venue. As long as people with some status come here, there will be maids leading the way, showing the difference from others. Brother Yang, Kong Saran on the other side also cupped his fists at Yang Kai, turned his gaze, glanced at Qin Yu, and smiled, Miss Qin is here too. Of course he recognized Qin Yu. After all, Kong Saran had been in Fenggalan City for half his life. Qin Yu smiled back and said, Guan Kong. You don't need to greet me, I can go in by myself. Yang Kai smiled slightly. As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly felt a hostile gaze in front of him. Yang Kai looked along, and saw Le Dongzheng staring at him coldly. His eyes were extremely gloomy, as if he had revenge for killing his father with Yang Kai, the same as the hatred of taking his wife. Yang Kai smiled slightly, not paying attention to him at all. Le Dongzheng snorted coldly, turned and left. Although the two people's gazes collided for a short time, both Kong Saran and Ji Yu Hong could see clearly. Ji Yu Hong rolled his eyes, but he didn't know what he thought of, so he let out a low laugh. Kong Saran was worried, and said in a low voice, Brother Yang, do you have any enmity with that sect master? A little bit. Yang Kai touched his nose and killed 3 of his Daoyuan third-layer disciples. This enmity is not ordinary. Kong Saran said sternly. Then you have to be careful with him. Le Dong is the master of Duanyu sect. He was promoted to Emperor Zun 100 years ago, and it is rumored that he may break through to the second level of Emperor Zun at any time. Contempt. Yang Kai cast a relieved smile. It's okay, I'll go first. Kong Saran nodded, gestured to the maid next to him, and immediately a person came out, took the invitation from Yang Kai, and led him into the auction venue. Pass through a spacious and bright corridor, and soon come to a private room. Open the door, and a spacious wing room appears in front of you. The interior decoration is extremely luxurious, and it can accommodate at least 20 people without being too crowded. There is a huge transparent crystal window in front of you. Through the crystal window, everything outside can be seen at a glance. This kind of private room is only eligible to be owned by very distinguished guests. The maid obviously knew this very well, so her attitude was extremely humble and respectful. My lord, if you need anything, just tell your maidservant. After the maidservant introduced some rules of the auction to Yang Kai, she said softly. I don't need anything, you go out first, I'll be fine here. Qin Yu suddenly said, driving people out like flies. The servant girl smiled unabated. She had received good training at a glance, bowed and said, the servant girl went out first, so she waited outside the door. After talking, he backed out and gently closed the door. Qin Yu glanced at Yang Kai, and found that he was looking at him with a smile. He couldn't help but blush, and his eyes dodged. Sit down, Yang Kai greeted, found a chair and sat down, facing the auction platform outside. If you see something you like later, just ask for an offer. I'll just watch the excitement, Qin Yu said in a low voice, but seeing that Yang Kai had already closed his eyes, he couldn't help but pouted and found a chair to sit down. The room was silent for a while, which made Chinyu feel a little uncomfortable. She originally wanted to ask Yang Kai where he had been and what he had done in the past few years, but seeing that Yang Kai was not in the mood to speak now, she felt embarrassed, disturbed. Fortunately, the two didn't have to wait long before the auction began. A beautiful woman walked up to the auction stage. Her clothes were scantily clad, her breasts were half exposed, her two beautiful legs were faintly visible under the tulle, her peach blossom eyes were full of charm. She smiled before saying a word, and immediately mobilized the atmosphere of the auction venue, which made Chinyu look red in the face, and secretly spurned him. Taking a sneak peek at Yang Kai, he found that his eyes were still closed, which was quite satisfactory. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Chapter 2758 Flowing Cloud Butterfly Hairpin. The leader Zhuang Shengxiao Mengmi Butterfly gave another 50,000 red rewards. Thank you. Wulian has been popular for a few days since it opened in 2016, and this year will definitely be booming. The auction venue was extremely lively. The auction held by the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce was quite high standard, and many emperors participated in it. Every auction item could be sold at an excellent price, which made the beautiful woman standing on the auction stage smile constantly. Panacea, rare treasures, were brought out like flowing water, and the sound of bidding from all directions was also one after another. The next thing that will be auctioned is a Luyun butterfly hairpin. The beautiful woman on the stage suddenly raised her voice a lot, her beautiful eyes swept down, and she lightly opened her lips and said, "Friends who bring a girlfriend or are going to send, please pay attention to friends who are presenting gifts for female companions. I can assure you that this is definitely the best gift." No matter how this beautiful woman is dressed, as a qualified auctioneer, he naturally knows how to raise the price, so when this remark came out, many people showed interest. After all, the name of the Luyun butterfly hairpin is a piece of jewelry. It is impossible for ordinary jewelry to be brought up at the auction. Only some valuable secret treasures are eligible to appear on the stage. Everyone is curious about what type of jewelry this Luyun butterfly hairpin is and what kind of power it has. Under the eyes of everyone, a maid came from behind with a tray in her hand, and stood beside the beautiful woman auctioneer. The tray was covered with a red cloth, so that people could not see the true appearance of the auction item. The beautiful woman whetted her appetite, smiled slightly, and stretched out her hand to uncover the red cloth. Suddenly, a blue ray of light flew up, bringing up a string of orchid light, which reflected the auction platform in every detail. "Now, it's beautiful." There was a burst of exclamation, and many women stared wide-eyed and looked towards the high platform. This beautiful thing has always attracted women's attention. After seeing it clearly, those women were amazed again, because the blue light that flew up was nothing but a fluttering butterfly. Every flapping of the wings brought out a beautiful fluorescent light, which made people see dazzled. After a while, the butterfly suddenly landed on a jasper-like hairpin. Its wings were still flapping slightly, like a living thing. But everyone knows that this butterfly has no life at all, but a decoration on the hairpin in a special form. Everyone watched in amazement. Not only the eyes of the women showed love, but even some men were interested. If this kind of jewelry is bought back and given to a woman, it will definitely please her, and maybe it will accomplish a good deed. This secret treasure is not just for decoration, is it? May I ask what power it has? A magnetic voice came from a private room. This question touched the hearts of everyone. Although the Luyun butterfly hairpin looks really good and beautiful on the outside, if it is just an ornament, the price will definitely be greatly reduced. Only some women like good-looking but useless things, but men pay for them. The beautiful woman on the stage smiled slightly and said, "How can the secret treasure refined by Master Hu be just a decoration?" "What? Is this hairpin a secret treasure refined by Master Hu? Is this true?" The words of the beautiful woman on the high platform caused the audience to explode, and bursts of exclamations sounded, as if the master was some extraordinary person at that time. Yang Kai also opened his eyes and asked curiously, "Who is this master?" I asked a question but didn't get a reply, turned my head and looked, but saw Chinyu pursing her red lips lightly, her beautiful eyes staring at the high platform, unmoving for a moment. The expression of emotion on her face was obviously very fond of the Luyun butterfly hairpin. "Interested in?" Yang Kai asked again, and Chinyu just woke up, blushing. Master Hu is a newly emerged master craftsman in the past 10 years, all the secret treasures refined by him are high-quality goods, but what? However, Master Hu is extremely low-key. No one has ever seen his true face, and they don't even know whether he is a man or a woman. So mysterious. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. Qin Yu smiled and said, yes, in the past 10 years, there have been many good secret treasures in the southern region, all of which were refined by Master Hu, and he seems to be very proficient in refining every kind of secret treasure, whether it is defense or attack, or auxiliary secret treasure. Anyway, this person is a very powerful refining master. Yang Kai Dao. Since no one has seen him, how do you know that these secret treasures are refined by him? Qin Yu replied, the secret treasures he refined have a mark, and on each secret treasure, there is a hidden monkey head mark. At this time, on the high platform, the beautiful woman said, if you don't believe me, you can check this jade hairpin on my concubine's hand to see if it is from Master Hu. As soon as the words fell, countless spiritual thoughts spread from all directions, and fell on the jade hairpin one after another. Yang Kai's spiritual thoughts were also among them. After scanning it carefully, he found that, as Qin Yu said, the jade slip on the side, there is a vivid monkey head. At first glance, the monkey head seems to be still scratching its head, vividly. It's really Master Hu's work. It's undeniably confirmed, and it's still a Daoyuan level top-rank secret treasure. Not bad, the old man wants this secret treasure. Old man Zhou, you are quite old, what's the use of this? Let's leave the opportunity to the young people. The old man recently took in a new concubine, and I want to give this secret treasure to her, do you have any opinions? On the high platform, the beautiful woman saw nothing in the noise below, and said, the number of secret treasures refined by Master Hu is not many, but each of them is the best of the best. Even the Emperor Weapon Masters in our Chamber of Commerce are waiting for Master Hu. Highly respected, I feel that Master Hu has the level of an Emperor's Weapon Master. I believe everyone is also very concerned about what kind of secret treasure this Luyun butterfly hairpin is. The types of secret treasures are nothing more than those types, but most of the jewelry secret treasures used by women are mostly defensive, and there are also offensive types, but the number is much smaller than the former. This Luyun butterfly hairpin looks good. If it is a defensive one, the price will naturally be higher. The beautiful woman didn't show off anything, she smiled and said, this jade hairpin is neither attack nor defense, but... While speaking, as soon as she urged the source, the Luyun butterfly hairpin in her hand suddenly became larger and became as long as 3 feet. At first glance, it looked like an enlarged butterfly, with its huge wings flapping gently. With that, there was a dense light. The beautiful woman made a tactic with both hands, and with a urging force, the huge butterfly turned into an orchid light, flew around the auction venue a few times, and returned to the stage. Flying secret treasure, everyone exclaimed. Before, everyone was wondering what kind of secret treasure this Luyun butterfly hairpin was, but no one thought that it was actually a flying secret treasure. If so, it would be of great value. Also extremely amazing. The beautiful woman said, I haven't been able to refine it, and I can only display half of the speed of this Luyun butterfly hairpin. However, according to the appraisal of the authoritative person in our Chamber of Commerce, if this Luyun butterfly hairpin is fully activated, the flying speed is even it is not as good as Emperor Senior Realm, and it is not far behind, it is definitely a sharp weapon for escape. Of course, the orchid light of this secret treasure can also be covered and hidden, so don't worry about revealing your whereabouts. All kinds of compliments, this beautiful woman is nothing more than wanting to express 3 words, good stuff. It is indeed a good thing, whether it is appearance or practicality, it is enough to make many warriors tempted. Seeing that the publicity was almost over, the beautiful woman shouted, the Daoyuan level top-grade flying secret treasure, the Luyun butterfly hairpin, has a starting price of 50 million middle-grade source crystals, and each increase must not be less than 1 million, everyone please. Quote. As soon as the beautiful woman's voice fell, there was a burst of bidding. In the blink of an eye, 50 million low-priced items of middle-grade source crystals were raised to 60 million, but it hasn't stopped yet. After another 10 breaths, the price has climbed to 70 million, and after 20 breaths, it will be 80 million. Qin Yu's expression changed constantly, the previous joy was swept away, replaced by a look of depression. She also knew that she could not compete for such a good thing with her own financial resources, but after hearing such a terrifying offer, she was still powerless for a while. 80 million middle-grade source crystals, even if you go to the Lingu Palace to buy sapphire tokens, you can buy 4. However, compared to the value of the Luyun butterfly hairpin, 40 million is far from the bottom line. The appearance of this jade hairpin immediately set off a round of bidding peaks in the auction. After 40 million, the warriors sitting in the hall can no longer participated in the quotation, only those guests in the private rooms continued to compete. Especially the old man who said he had taken in a new concubine before, bid extremely quickly, as if he was bound to win. When the price climbed to the terrifying 130 million, there were only 2 bidders left in the field, and every price increase seemed to have to be carefully thought out, not as straightforward as before. 141 million. Old man Joe, if you can exceed this price, the Luyun butterfly hairpin will be yours. A voice came from a private room. The old man surnamed Joe laughed and said, since Brother Wong has a heart, the old man will naturally appreciate it. 142 million. Yuewen. The previous emperor senior stage sighed slightly. 142 million middle-grade source crystals, converted to 1.42 million high-grade source crystals. The emperor senior realm powerhouse must have this wealth, but it also depends on what to buy. Just a gift naturally, women's jewelry can't be spent so much. The auction is only halfway through, and there are still good things to come. If it costs too much, how will the auction be held later? Accepted. The old man surnamed Joe laughed, rushed to the high platform and urged, quickly count down, no one will bid any more. The beautiful woman smiled unabated, looked around and said, is there anyone raising the price? If no one. 150 million. Yang Kai's voice suddenly sounded. In the private room, Qin Yu stared at Yang Kai in astonishment. He didn't expect him to speak at this time. Who was going to buy it for? Such a precious thing would definitely not be bought for himself. Who can occupy such an important position in his heart? The laughter of the old man surnamed Joe stopped abruptly, and turned into a little exasperated. 160 million. The things that could have been won for 142 million yuan, but were made more expensive by Yang Kai's intervention. Naturally the mood will not be good. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Chapter 2759 send you off. Well, at home today, there will be 2 shifts, but starting tomorrow, I will be busy again, forgive me. 170 million. Yang Kai's expression remained unchanged, and Qin Yu was amazed. 180 million. The old man surnamed Joe roared. 2 million. As soon as this remark came out, everyone was stunned, and the old man surnamed Joe laughed loudly and said, boy, you are confused. 2 million. High-grade source crystal. Yang Kai added. The ridicule of the old man surnamed Joe extinguished instantly. 2 million high-grade source crystals, in terms of value conversion, is 200 million middle-grade source crystals, but in places like auctions, 200 million middle-grade source crystals cannot be exchanged for 2 million high-grade source crystals. In other words, although a million top-grade source crystals is theoretically no different from 200 million middle-grade source crystals, the value is much higher. If the old man surnamed Joe raised his bid, he would have to get Shengpin Yuanjing to bid. He suddenly fell silent. On the high platform, the beautiful auctioneer woman smiled sweetly, staring at Yang Kai's private room, and said, the friend in Tianzi number 3 room bid 2 million high-grade source crystals, is there a higher one? Naturally, no one raised the price. You know, Yang Kai sold a 12th grade low-grade inner alchemy to Ziwan Chamber of Commerce, and there were only 2 million high-grade source crystals. The value of this Luyun butterfly hairpin is almost equal to a 12th grade low-grade inner alchemy. But things are not available to everyone. Congratulations to this friend in room number 3 of Tianzi. The beautiful woman smiled slightly, feeling suspicious in her heart. She felt strange when she heard Yang Kai's voice. She didn't know when the Chamber of Commerce had such a big customer. Not everyone can get in, and it occupies such a high-ranked private room as Tianzi number 3, so the people here should be extremely important guests for the Chamber of Commerce. And just before Yang Kai opened his mouth to bid, in a private room of the same Tianzi brand, Li Dongzong's eyes turned cold. Having dealt with Yang Kai, he naturally recognized Yang Kai's voice. He stared at the direction of room number 3 with hatred, and felt angry in his heart. He was considered a major customer of Ziwan Chamber of Commerce, but even with his status, you can only get the 9th ranked room. How can that young man, Hida, actually occupy the 3rd room in Tianzi? After pondering for a while, he said to the servant girl who was kneeling in front of him, Go and ask steward Ji to come over. Yes. The maid stood up and walked out the door. After a short while, Ji Hong knocked on the door and entered, clasped his fists and said, Master Liman, is there something for you? Le Dongzheng said, the person in room number 3 that day, what's his background? Ji Hong was stunned, wondering, Master Liman, why do you ask about this? You also know the rules of the Chamber of Commerce. Although Ji Yu is in charge, the information of this guest is absolutely not allowed to be leaked. Le Dong smiled slightly and said, there are always exceptions, aren't there? Ji Hong said, Master Liman is embarrassing me. Le Dongzheng frowned. After dealing with Ji Hong for so many years, they both knew each other's temperament. This kid has a grudge. Ji Hongqi asked, did he offend Liman Master somewhere? Le Dongzheng snorted coldly, if it's just to offend, it's fine. 3 disciples of the 3rd level of Daoyuan under my sect died at his hands, and one of them is the descendant of the old man. What? Ji Hong was shocked, thinking that no wonder Le Dongzheng would ask him for information on that person, so there was such a big hatred. Le Dongzheng said, you have also seen manager Ji Yu, this kid has no hesitation in bidding, and he has a lot of money. If I can win him, I will definitely get a profit at that time. How about sharing 30% of manager Ji Yu? Ji Hong showed a bitter look on his face and said, Master Liman, Fei Ji Yu doesn't want to help you. 50%. This. Ji Hong pretended to think for a while, slapped his thigh and said, Master Liman, I don't know the origin and identity of this person, he suddenly appeared in the Chamber of Commerce yesterday, and I have never seen him before. It seems that manager Ji Yu doesn't want to do this little favor for the old man anymore. Forget it, I won't come to Ziwan Chamber of Commerce to do business in the future. Le Dong was snorting coldly. Ji Hong smiled wryly and said, Master Liman, although I don't know his origin, but after we arrange for him to leave the auction later, I can come and inform Master Liman of his whereabouts. Le Dongzheng's eyes flashed brightly, he nodded and said, in this way, Lao Ji Yu will be in charge. Ji Hong rubbed his hands together and said, that's 50% of what Le Sect Master said before. You must be indispensable. Le Dongzheng waved his hand. Ji Hong clasped his fists and said, then I would like to thank Le Sect Master, I wish the Le Sect Master Wu luck and prosperity, success will come soon. After exiting the door, Ji Hong's eyes flickered coldly. I thought to myself, boy, don't blame me, it is really your appearance that hinders my future. After Yang Kai appeared yesterday, he clearly noticed that Lu Qi's attitude towards him was a little colder, and he became more enthusiastic towards Kong-saran. Thinking about Yang Kai's coming to the Chamber of Commerce, Ji Hong didn't know that Kong-saran used him to talk he won a big business, which is very likely to be an amount that he can't imagine. Only in this way can Kong-saran Shanyu turn over. If Kong-saran turns over, he will be the one who is unlucky. There must be someone transferred from the branch. If Kong-saran stays, he must be transferred. But if Yang Kai died, Kong-saran had no help, so naturally there was nothing to fear. In room number 3 of Tianzi, the maid brought the Luyun butterfly hairpin, and Yang Kai paid 2 million high-grade source crystals, and then played with the hairpin in his hand for a while. The true power of the cloud butterfly hairpin, but Yang Kai could feel that this jade hairpin was refined with great care, and it was a rare top grade. The monkey head logo on the side is more delicate and lifelike when viewed closely. After watching for a while, Yang Kai threw the jade hairpin towards Qin Yu casually. Qin Yu hadn't recovered yet, caught it in a hurry, and looked at Yang Kai in amazement. I'll see you off, Yang Kai said, and closed his eyes again to rest his mind. Give it to me. Qin Yu held the hosta in his hand, his heart was inexplicably slammed, and his cheeks were a little hot. Just now she was thinking about which woman occupied such an important position in his heart, and she did not hesitate to spend 2 million high-grade source crystals to buy this thing, but in a blink of an eye, the jade hairpin came into her hands. Brother Yang bought this for himself. I have such an important position in his heart. Qin Yu couldn't help but think wildly for a while, raised his head and looked at Yang Kai timidly. His fiery heart was immediately poured with cold water, only to see that Yang Kai had closed his eyes, as if what he sent was not a price. The flying secret treasure of 2 million high-grade source crystals is a street product that can be seen everywhere on the street stalls. Brother Yang, this thing is too expensive. Qin Yu calmed down and hurriedly refused. 2 million high-grade source crystals is an astronomical figure for the entire Qin family. She and Yang Kai are neither related nor related, how can she ask for such a generous gift? As he spoke, he handed the jade hairpin back. Yang Kai opened his eyes and said, "Really don't want it?" Qin Yu bit her lip and shook her head, the things were too expensive for her to bear. Yang Kai smiled and said, "If you don't want it, it's useless for me to take it back." Qin Yu lowered his head and whispered, "You can give it to Brother Yang, the woman you like, no matter who it will be very happy." "But I have already sent you off first," Yang Kai said. "But I'm not." Qin Yu's voice became even softer. "Yang Kai Dao, your Qin family's million sword has been used in my hands for so long, and it has made contributions to me several times. I thank the Qin family for this jade hairpin at that time. Don't have any psychological burden. It's different." Qin Yu shook his head, "He is not a close person, what is the meaning of giving jewelry, and it is such expensive jewelry? Then I can only return the million sword to your Qin family." Yang Kai said seriously. "No." Qin Yu quickly shook his head. "Although the million sword belongs to the Qin family, it is an emperor's treasure. The Qin family has no ability to protect it now. In fact, it is also thanks to Qin Chaoyang who let Yang Kai take away the million sword. Well, if he really left this emperor treasure in the Qin family, he might have been implicated long ago. Since you don't want it, then keep it, just 2 million high-grade source crystals, you haven't paid attention to it yet." Yang Kai smiled slightly. Qin Yu was stunned for a moment, feeling inexplicably relaxed a lot. It turned out that 2 million high-grade source crystals, which were an astronomical figure for the Qin family, were nothing to him. In other words, what he sent was not a particularly expensive item, but a simple thank you gift. Thinking about it this way, Qin Yu felt a little relieved. Then, "Thank you, Brother Yang." Qin Yu held the jade hairpin in his palm and thanked in a low voice. "In your eyes, this is just a simple thank you gift, but in my eyes, this is the most precious gift I have ever received in my life, regardless of the price." The auction continued. After the astonishing price of the Luyun butterfly hairpin, the atmosphere on the scene became even more heated. It seemed that everyone's competitive spirit was mobilized, and the price of each auction item rose steadily. An hour later, the auction was gradually coming to an end. After a short rest, the auctioneer of the beautiful woman stepped onto the high platform again, and said with high spirits, "The next thing to be auctioned is the finale treasure of this auction. Fei Hong Melangjia." When the words fell, he stretched out his hand to signal, and immediately 2 strong men came up from behind, carrying a fine iron box, and walked up the auction stage step by step. It seemed that the posture was extremely strenuous. In an instant, thousands of pairs of gazes were all focused on the high platform, and in the dark, many people suddenly became short of breath. This Fei Hong Malong armor was publicized by the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce 3 months ago, so many Emperor Prestige Realm powerhouses in this auction came with their eyes on the Fei Hong Malong armor. The value is higher than the combined value of all previous auction items. Boom! When the 2 strong men put the box on the ground, there was a muffled sound from the high platform. It seemed that the Fei Hong Malong armor was extremely heavy, which made many people stand in awe, but everyone also knows that as long as it can be refined, no matter how heavy the treasure armor was, it would become as light as nothing, otherwise, this alone would be enough to reduce the value of Fei Hong Malong armor by a lot. To be continued. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to vote for recommendations and monthly tickets. Your support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users, please go to read. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Chapter 2760 Fei Hong Black Dragon Armor. In the auction venue, many people's breathing suddenly became short of breath, and countless spiritual thoughts probed the high platform from all directions, wanting to have a sneak peek. The Emperor treasure itself is extremely valuable, not to mention it is a defensive Emperor treasure, and it is also a middle-grade Emperor level armor. But what makes everyone feel sorry is that the box that looks like cast iron has actually isolated the detection of the divine sense, so that everyone returned in vain. On the high platform, the beautiful woman looked around with a smile, and said in a soft voice, "This piece of armor was not refined by today's master craftsman, but from an ancient cave. It is a thing from a long time ago. A friend found it by accident and sent it to our Chamber of Commerce for auction." As soon as he said that, envious and jealous expressions appeared on many people's faces. It is not uncommon to see ancient caves in the Star World, but not everyone can encounter them, and even if they encounter them, they may be trapped in the restrictive formation and cannot escape, let alone get a treasure from it. To be able to find the ancient cave, escape from it, and get such a treasure, one can imagine how powerful that person's luck is. Why can't such a good thing happen to me? Everyone is asking themselves, their teeth itching with hatred. If such a good thing can happen, I'm afraid I don't have to worry about the cultivation materials for several lifetimes. Because of its age, although this piece of armor is middle grade, it has some flaws. After the beautiful woman finished speaking, the auction venue fell silent. After a while, a voice came from a private room of Tianzihao. Dare to ask, what kind of flaw is it? Many emperor prestige realms came for this treasure armor. The Ziwen Chamber of Commerce's promotion also said that there would be an emperor-level middle-grade treasure armor for auction, but now this beautiful woman told them that the treasure armor was flawed. Yang Kai was also taken aback when he heard this. Kong Saran had never told him about this. But with his friendship with Kong Saran, if Kong Saran knew about it in advance, he would definitely not hide it. In other words, even Kong Saran didn't know this secret. After thinking about it, Yang Kai felt relieved. Although there were flaws, it was still an emperor-grade mid-grade treasure armor. There was no need to make it too clear when promoting it, it was enough to attract people. At this moment, the beautiful woman said with a smile, everyone will find out after a while. Now invite President Liu to test the power of this precious armor. She leaned to one side and motioned to the back, only to see a not-so-tall figure walking quickly over there. It was Lu Kai who was sitting here. When he came to the beautiful woman, Lu Kai clasped his fists at the customers in the various private rooms, without saying a word, suddenly urged Yuan, pointed his hand at the fine iron box, accompanied by a burst of air breaking with a sound. Pieces of nails the size of a thumbnail flew out of the fine iron box, and a long black dragon strung out and enveloped Lu Kai. After a while of crackling, pieces of armor the size of a thumbnail covered Lu Qi's body very regularly, and they were tightly stitched together, forming a black armor covering from the bottom of the neck to the instep. Putting on the armor, Lu Qi's aura suddenly became extremely powerful, like a god of war, with awe-inspiring aura, and the aura of the first layer of Emperor Zun seemed to have been strengthened, making people dumbfounded. Looking around, this treasure armor is not considered heavy, but it looks extremely light. Lu Qi's ups and downs on the high platform are also extremely flexible, and the joints are not affected at all, but everyone can see clearly that although this treasure armor basically covered Lu Qi's whole body, but the waist was about a foot away, and the gaps were uneven. That is not the design of the treasure armor itself, but it gives people a feeling of missing, as if the treasure armor has encountered a strong attack, and the armor piece at the waist is lost. This Fei Hong Malong armor was originally a complete piece, but unfortunately a part is missing for some reason. The beautiful woman explained. The lack is so serious, is this armor still useful? Someone asked. The beautiful woman smiled and said, the means of the ancient masters of refining weapons are beyond our imagination. Don't worry, although this armor has a lot of defects, it still retains most of its power. Of course, although this armor is still emperor level, the grade of the middle grade, but can only display the defensive ability of the lower grade of the emperor grade. When the beautiful woman was speaking, Lu Kai suddenly let out a soft cry, and the black armor on his body flew off with a crackling sound, and floated piece by piece in midair, condensing into the appearance of precious armor again. Lu Kai stretched out his hand and raised it, and something that looked like a thick yellowed book appeared on the palm of his hand. Liangyilu, someone exclaimed. This looks like a book, but it is Lu Qi's emperor treasure Liangyilu, which is extremely powerful. Stimulating Emperor Yuan, two rays of mysterious light shot out from the Liangyilu, one yin and one yang, staggered and circled, and blasted towards the treasure armor suspended in midair. The surging power fluctuations made everyone change color. No one doubts that if these two beams of profound light hit a defenseless Emperor Senior Realm, they might kill even the Emperor Senior Realm in an instant. There was a bang, the mysterious light hit the black armor, but it only sent sparks from the black armor, and the black light flashed on the surface of the black armor, but it was still intact. The voice of the beautiful woman sounded at the right time, and the voice was a lot louder. This armor has been jointly appraised by several masters of our Chamber of Commerce, and it is confirmed that it is refined from the scales of the adult Mo Jiao. Jiao is an extremely rare existence, and has always been known for its amazing defense. The Fei Hong Malong armor refined from the scale armor of the ink armor, the defense power is not comparable to that of ordinary emperor treasures. If you get this one, it can save lives at critical moments. It was actually made from ink dragon scales. The dragons all have the blood of the dragon clan. Doesn't the scale of an adult ink dragon also have a trace of dragon nature? Good thing, it really is a good thing. Things are good, but at this price. There was a lot of hustle and bustle underneath, and the beautiful woman smiled more and more, before she opened her mouth and said, Feihong Melangia, the low price is 10 million high-grade source crystals, and you can increase the price as you like, everyone please. As soon as he said a word, there was a sound of gasping for air. The highest transaction price in previous auctions was only a bottle of Emperor-level panacea worth 6 million high-grade source crystals. But now, the starting price of this Feihong Melangia is actually 10 million high-grade source crystals. It is conceivable how terrifying the final transaction price will be. This starting price alone makes 99% of people desperate to bid. Only those who are well prepared in the Emperor Senior realm are ready to move. Although there are 10 million top-grade source crystals, the experiment by Lu Kai just now showed everyone that this armor is not afraid of the attack of the Emperor Senior realm powerhouses at all. With this treasure armor in his body, if he respects God at the first level, he is almost invincible. Even if he respects God at the second level, he may be able to deal with it. No one wants to miss such a good thing. I am afraid that the competition will be fierce later. No one wanted to be this early bird, they all wanted to see the situation, and besides, for a while, the auction venue became quiet. The beautiful woman stood on the auction stage with a smile on her face, and she did not urge her to host auctions many times. She also knew what kind of psychology these people had. Shoot. After 10 breaths of silence, suddenly a voice sounded, 20 million. Those Emperor Seniors who were still watching the changes were startled, and all looked in the direction of the source of the sound. Room number 3 of Tianzi is the guy who took the picture of the Luyun butterfly hairpin before. In an instant, many people's faces darkened, and some even scolded the people in Tianzi number 3 room bloody in their hearts. What does it mean to add up to 20 million for an item starting at 10 million? Even if you have money, you can't act like this. Could it be that it was arranged by Ziwen Chamber of Commerce? There will be such people in many auctions, and their task is to drive up the price of the auction item, mobilize the emotions of the bidders, and let people buy the auction item at a higher price. Thinking about it this way, some people immediately felt that the person in room number 3 of Tianzi was really a trustee. In Tianzi number 3 room, Yu covered her red lips with her hands, looked at Yang Kai in shock, and tremblingly said, "Brother Yang, that is a top-grade source crystal." She was afraid that Yang Kai didn't understand the starting price, and mistakenly thought it was a middle or low grade, so she quickly reminded her so that she would not be able to close the auction when she got it. "I know." Yang Kai nodded and grinned. Yu was stunned, and then remembered what he said when he gave him the Luyun butterfly hairpin just now. So it turned out that he really doesn't care about 2 million top-grade source crystals. Damn boy, go eat shit, kid. Boy, do you dare to report your name? This old man wants to see which family's disciple you are. The emperors in the private rooms were not calm at the moment, they cursed and clamored one after another. In room number 9 of Tianzi, Le Dongzheng almost stared out his eyes, even though Yang Kai just spent 2 million high-grade source crystals to take the Luyun butterfly hairpin, which made him feel that Yang Kai is rich. If he can really buy him, if you win it, you will be able to gain something, but he never thought that Yang Kai's net worth would be so rich. 20 million high-grade source crystals, just reported it like this. What is his bottom line? 30 million, 40 million. No matter how much it is, he definitely has a lot of high-grade source crystals in his hand. Okay, God bless me to break human. Le Dongzheng laughed suddenly. The richer Yang Kai was, the happier he was. Anyway, as long as he could kill Yang Kai, all his property would be his own. As for Ji Yu Hong, just give him a fraction at will, nothing 50%, it's just a dream. A group of immortals dare to participate in the auction without the strength. That lady, I suggest disqualifying them from the auction and driving them out of the auction venue, so as not to tarnish the reputation of the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce. Yang Kai was also scolded. Tiecheng shouted to the beautiful woman on the high platform. The beautiful woman frowned and said, "Are you here to participate in the auction or to scold? If you are here to scold, please move, don't interfere with the auction process." As soon as she opened her mouth to speak, those Emperor Seniors really quieted down, not daring to make any more mistakes. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update Group at ch8296929 Dian Hanji. Chapter 2761 Babysitting in the Well. Ziwen Chamber of Commerce is one of the 2 top chambers of commerce in the southern region. It has business contacts and cooperation with many sects in the southern region. If it is really offended, it will not do any good to its own sect. The old man offered 21 million, boy, you can follow if you have the guts. The old man in the private room snorted coldly, as if he had confirmed Yang Kaituo's identity. 30 million, PFF'd. The old man almost spat out a mouthful of blood, his expression was extremely ugly. I thought that Yang Kai was just the one who arranged to drive up the price at the auction. Since he was driving up the price, then he added 1 million, and the other party's task was basically completed. It is also a good harvest if you come down. But I didn't expect that the boy in room number 3 of Tianzi actually added 30 million in one go. Not two. Absolutely not entrustment. It is impossible to have such an arrogant entrustment in this world, and it is also impossible to have such an irrational entrustment. Such a crazy price increase is very likely to scare most bidders away. In other words, this kid really wants to bid for Feihong Melangjia. Not only the old man saw this, but most of the Emperor's senior realm present also saw it. Tianzi number 3 room is definitely a guy with strong financial resources. 31 million. After 10 breaths, someone made a new offer with difficulty. 35 million. Yang Kai immediately followed. A sigh suddenly came from a private room, and soon there were more sighs, but there was no more voice to follow the price. An ordinary Emperor treasure can basically be sold for 15 million to 20 million high-grade source crystals. If it is a defense Emperor treasure, it will be even higher, 20 to 30 million, and this Feihong Melangjia, although it is an Emperor-level middle-grade defense secret treasure, it has some flaws. In terms of value, it is between the defense-type Emperor-level low-grade and Emperor-level middle-grade. 35 million is almost the bottom line. What's more, such a huge sum of source crystals is not something that anyone can take out. At the auction held in Liang City a few months ago, most of the emperors present were worth 10 to 20 million yuan, and very few were worth more than 30 million high-grade source crystals. So Yang Kai can almost be sure that the price of 35 million is enough to make a conclusion. That's the truth. The beautiful woman auctioneer waited and watched for a while, and felt that no one would bid any more, and immediately said loudly, Feihong Melang armor, 35 million high-grade source crystals, is there any higher? If not, this armor will be. It belongs to the friends in room number 3 of Tianzi. After counting 3 times, the beautiful woman looked at Yang Kai's direction with a smile, and said, congratulations to the friends in room 3 of Tianzi. I couldn't help but feel a strange feeling in my heart. This finale treasure should have been killed by those emperors. It was inseparable, and the dust settled after many bids. But he didn't want to be chopped up by the person in room number 3 of Tianzi, and he took it away with 3 strikes. Most of the people who were going to participate in it didn't even have time to quote a price, just watch the excitement. Having presided over so many auctions, this is the first time I have encountered such a situation. The person in room 3 is indeed a super big customer. If there is a chance, I can get to know him. Maybe there is a possibility of cooperation in the future. The dust of the last treasure armor has settled. Even if the auction is over this time, all the warriors in the hall got up and walked towards the outsiders, feeling a little dazzled. The emperors in the private room were also led by the maidservants. Go out of the room and leave through the secret passage. In room No. 3, Yang Kai waited quietly for a moment before knocking on the door. Yang Kai responded, and the door was immediately pushed open. A servant girl and 2 strong men walked in carrying the fine iron box. After a while, both money and goods were settled, and someone else led Yang Kai towards the secret road. This is also a way for the auction house to protect customers, lest some customers take a good auction but be targeted by enemies. There are hundreds of secret passages in the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce auction house, leading to all directions outside Fengguan City. If you don't know the direction in advance, it is impossible to track it. Although Yang Kai was not afraid of anything, he did not refuse this arrangement. Soon, under the leadership of the maidservant, they entered an underground corridor. In room number 9 of Tianzi, Ji Yuhong knocked on the door and entered. Le Dong, who was closing his eyes and resting his mind, opened his eyes flashed, his lips opened and closed, and he asked a question through sound transmission. Ji Yuhong couldn't hide the extreme excitement on his face, and quickly replied. Le Dong was getting up, flicked his sleeves, and left in the air. Ji Yuhong stood on the spot and thought for a while, but he also sneaked out after him. He knew exactly what kind of temperament Le Dong was. He couldn't have imagined that this guy named Yang Kai was so rich. If Le Dongzheng succeeds, he doesn't believe that the other party will keep his promise and give him 50% of the benefits. So it's better to keep an eye on it by yourself, and wait for Ledongzheng to get his hands on it, so he can find out what's going on by himself, and he probably won't be able to deny it. This is a major event that involves tens of millions of high-grade source crystals. How can Ji Yu Hong not care about it? After making this order, he doesn't need to compete with Kong Saran for anything. He can go anywhere without any worries. No worries. After about a cup of tea, Yang Kai and Qin Yu came out from the belly of a hill 50 miles away from Fenggalan City. Looking up, the moon is bright and the stars are sparse. After identifying the direction, Emperor Yang Kai rushed towards a direction wrapped in Qin Yu as soon as he urged him. After a short while, the two came to the sky above a hill. When they looked down, there were many people gathered below. They seemed to sense someone approaching. They all looked up and saw a stream of light shooting towards this side. They all showed signs of vigilance. "Grandpa," Qin Yu shouted. Hearing the voice, Qin Zhaoyang chuckled and said, "Don't be nervous, it's Brother Yang and Yuer who are here." The streamer fell in front of everyone, revealing the figures of Yang Kai and Qin Yu. With a glance, Yang Kai said, "Is it all here?" Before he went to the auction, he sent a message to the Zhang family, asking people from the Zhang family to join the Qin family here. From the looks of it now, there are quite a few. Mrs. Zhang said, "Everyone in the Zhang family is here. There are not many people in the Zhang family, and the preparations are almost the same in the past few days. Yang Kai sent a message and can leave immediately. The same is true for the Qin family, even Qin Chaoyang tried to sell the land deed, and everyone in the family gathered here with their families. The two small families have a total of about 150 people, and their strengths are also mixed. The highest is Qin Yu at the second level of Daoyuan. Entering the Holy Realm and the Transcendent Realm are all available. Brother-in-law, are we really going to the Northern Territory?" Zhang Ruiyu jumped out, with nervousness and anticipation on his little face. Having grown up so big, she has never traveled far. This time, she is going to the extremely remote northern region. As a native of the southern region, she is extremely unfamiliar with the northern region. Brother-in-law, Qin Yu was stunned for a while, and suddenly felt a little confused and looked lonely. "Who is your brother-in-law, little girl, don't bark." Yang Kai's face darkened. Ning Suan also shouted, "If the rain recedes." "Oh." Zhang Ruiyu pursed her lips, stood aside, sullen, raised her eyes, met Qin Yu's eyes, smiled with her little tiger teeth, and said, "Sister Qin." Qin Yu forced a smile. "Sister Ruiyu. Everyone is here, let's go." Yang Kai greeted. If he was alone, he would be able to reach Chenyizong in less than 2 days, but with such a large number of people with varying strengths, it is estimated that at least walk for half a month. As soon as the words fell, Yang Kai suddenly frowned, and looked behind him feelingly, only to see a stream of light rushing towards the edge of the sky, and that direction seemed to be coming here. Qin Zhaoyang, Ning Suan and the others obviously noticed it too, and they all became a little nervous, especially Qin Zhaoyang. After all, Yang Kai had offended the disciples of the Star God Palace in the Qin family 2 days ago. In case a strong man from the Star God Palace came, the Qin family is over. "You guys go first, I'll come later." Yang Kai recognized who the person was when he swept out his spiritual mind, and after giving instructions to the Qin and Zhang families, he turned and waited. "Which way to go?" Qin Zhaoyang asked. Yang Kai pointed in a direction. "Brother Yang, be careful," Qin Zhaoyang warned, nodded slightly to Ning Suan, and the two immediately drove forward with their own family members. Staying at this time will only hinder Yang Kai's hind legs, so the two of them also made a decisive decision. In the blink of an eye, more than 100 people drifted away. After a while, the streamer suddenly fell, and the light converged, revealing the figure of a half-old man. "Master Lesect, where does this panic-stricken person want to go?" Yang Kai smiled slightly, looking at Ledongzheng who was chasing after him. A cold light flashed in Ledongzheng's eyes, and he snorted coldly, asked the question knowingly. Looking at the people from the two big families walking in the distance, Ledongzheng said, "Those are all your people." "Not bad." Yang Kai nodded. Ledongzheng grinned and said, "Very well, none of them can escape, the old man will kill them all." Yang Kai smiled and said, "It also depends on whether you have the life to live to that time." Ledongzheng squinted his eyes. The boy's tone is not small. "Do you think you can beat the old man?" Even though Yang Kai's cultivation was similar to his, Ledongzheng didn't pay much attention to him. He was also at the first level of Emperor Senior, but he has been immersed in this level for 100 years, how can it be compared with ordinary cats and dogs? A baby sitting in a well looks at the sky like a well. Yang Kai sneered. Presumptuous. Le Dongzhang was furious. As soon as the words fell, Yang Kai, who was supposed to be tens of feet away, suddenly appeared in front of him strangely, almost face to face with him, and the distance between them was less than 3 inches. Hiss. Le Dong was taking a deep breath, and the hairs all over his body exploded in shock. He didn't notice Yang Kai's movement at all, and he just stuck it in front of his eyes. Those eyes that were close at hand were full of disdain and sarcasm, making Le Dongzhang's heart sink as if falling into a deep abyss. Instinctively urging Emperor Yuan, at the same time he made a wrong step, wanting to stay away from Yang Kai, but Kok Dongzhang was shocked to find that no matter how he flickered and moved, Yang Kai couldn't get rid of it like a tarsal maggot. A palm was printed on Le Dongzhang's chest, and Yang Kai's eyes full of sneer turned into coldness. Death. Support is my biggest motivation. Mobile phone users please go to read. Open black lens bracket close black lens bracket. Chapter 2762 Sister Hua, you are good or bad thanks to the leader of the old horse for the reward. Phone reading. Thanks again to the leader, Lao Ma, for the reward. Xiao Mo's mood suddenly became wonderful. Hehehehe. Ji Yu Hong chased after him all the way, non-stop, panting from exhaustion. Pound. He only has the Daoyuan third layer cultivation base, which is a lot worse than Le Dongzhang, and the speed is naturally not as good. If he didn't know the direction of Yang Kai's secret path, I'm afraid he wouldn't know what to do. Where to track? After rushing to the place, Ji Yu Hong immediately found a bush to hide his figure, at the same time restrained his breath, and looked up. There was no sound of fighting or energy fluctuations, so could it be that Le Dongzhang dealt with that kid so quickly? It shouldn't be, I was also chasing after him. Even if Le Dongzhang's strength is good, that kid is still an emperor, so he can hold on for a while at least. Either the battlefield was shifted. Ji Yu Hong thinks that this possibility is high, perhaps because the strength of the two is between equals, they are fighting inextricably, and they don't know where they are fighting at the moment. It's best to fight for both sides, so that he can benefit from the fisherman. If there is a chance, he doesn't mind having a black hole in taking Yang Kai and Le Dongzhang together. Ji Yu Hong was dreaming in his heart, suddenly a faint smell of blood floated into the tip of his nose along the wind. Sniffing lightly, his complexion changed slightly. When I looked up again, I saw that under the moonlight, there seemed to be a person lying on the ground hundreds of meters away from him. This is... Ji Yu Hong's expression froze, and he concentrated his eyesight. The person lying on the ground turned his head slightly, facing his direction, allowing him to see his face clearly. Le Dongzhang. Ji Yu Hong was startled, a chill ran down his spine, and he shivered. Le Dongzhang, the head of the Duanyu sect who left the auction of the Ziwan Chamber of Commerce with him. At this moment, he was lying there covered in blood, motionless, not knowing whether he was alive or dead. The possibility of death is high, because Ji Yu Hong didn't notice any presence of breath. The blood in his whole body almost froze, and he was frozen there for a long time, not daring to move. Le Dongzhang is an old-fashioned first-level emperor, and it is rumored that he may break through to the second-level emperor at any time. Such a strong man actually fell to such a fate. Who did it? A moment ago he was still alive and kicking, looking like he wanted to take revenge on that boy in room 3 of Tianzi, but now he is like a dead fish. Ji Yu Hong didn't dare to move for a long time, he was afraid that there were powerful enemies hiding nearby, and if he moved, he was afraid that he would be killed. But after waiting for a full hour, there was nothing abnormal, so Ji Yu Hong bravely stood up and walked towards Le Dongzhang step by step vigilantly. Not for a while. Arriving in front of Le Dong, Ji Yu Hong looked at his tragic death with awe-inspiring expression on his face. One move, Le Dong was killed by someone with a single blow. There was a clear 5-finger print on his chest was completely collapsed, there was still blood in his mouth and nose, and his wide eyes were full of disbelief. It was as if he had seen something extraordinary before dying. Gudong. Ji Yu Hong swallowed his saliva. In his eyes, a strong man like Le Dongzhang is a superior existence, who can kill him with one move. How powerful was the person who killed him? Regardless of whether it was the boy from room number 3 who did it that day, it has something to do with him. Fenggalan City can't stay here anymore. If the boy finds out that he leaked his whereabouts, his fate will not be much better. Trembling all over, Ji Yu Hong glanced at Le Dongzhang's hand. There was no trace of the space ring, presumably it was taken away by the person who killed him. Not daring to stay any longer, he mobilized the source force, his figure turned into a streamer, and left the place of right and wrong quickly. The speed of 1 or 200 people was slower than Yang Kai expected. Stopping and stopping all the way, it took only 10 days to walk almost half of the distance. Fortunately, there was no danger. Normally, such a group of people walking in the star realm would be easily targeted by some unruly warriors, but with Yang Kai sitting in it, anyone who dared to eat wild food would die in time. Awful. Both the Zhang family and the Qin family were a little disappointed to leave the land where they had been living and thriving for generations, and the older they got, the more so they were. But those young people are full of curiosity and anticipation about the outside world, especially Zhang Ruiyu, who will ask Yang Kai non-stop whenever he has time. Any strange people and strange things can make her happy for a long time. This girl's personality is completely different from Ruoxi's. She is lively and active, she seems to have endless energy, and she can ask endless questions. Yang Kai didn't show any impatience, he just wanted to introduce the situation of the Northern Territory and his own sect to the people of Zhang Qin's two families, so Zhang Ruiyu would answer any questions he had, and gradually let these more than 100 people understand the situation of the Northern Territory. He and Lingxiao Palace are full of longing. In this way, after walking for more than 20 days, a group of talents finally came to the former site of Chenyizong. He led the two big families directly into the small world of Emperor Tiangu, came to the valley, activated the space magic circle, and divided more than 100 people into several groups, and sent them to Lingxiao Palace one by one. After Yang Kai broke off, when he brought a dozen people into the Lingxiao Palace for the last batch, Hua Qingxi immediately greeted him, Palace Master. When the first batch of warriors were teleported over, the two Chiba sect disciples who were guarding here immediately sent a message to Hua Qingxi, the chief manager. Hua Qingxi didn't know what was going on, so she hurried over to investigate. After some inquiries, I realized that Yang Kai had arranged for them to come here, so naturally they would not be negligent. Yang Kai nodded, glanced at the warriors of the two families, and smiled slightly. At this moment, all of the more than 100 people showed incredible expressions, their eyes were full of shock and joy. Zhang Ruiyu even opened his arms, his face was full of joy, as if he wanted to embrace the whole world. The Lingxiao Palace was originally the foundation of Wenqing sect. The spiritual mountains and rivers here are full of spiritual energy. How can Fenggalan City be compared? Suddenly coming to such a fairyland, everyone seems to have been reborn. If not restrained, I'm afraid it's time to yell. Zhu Qing didn't come back. Yang Kai glanced around vigilantly and asked Hua Qingxi in a low voice. No, Hua Qingxi shook her head. Very good. Yang Kai exhaled, although he knew that Zhu Qing would not be able to come back so soon. After all, she was going to that ghostly place in the frozen soil, and she still had to track down the source of the clansman's death, but she was not afraid of 10,000. Just in case, if Zhu Qing really comes back, I'm afraid she can't get rid of it like a dog's skin plaster. Palace Master, how do you arrange the people of these two families? Hua Qingxi asked. Yang Kai Dao, you are the chief executive, you ask me, just look at the arrangement, but there is no need to give special treatment, find some qualified people, choose them as the first batch of disciples of Lingxiao Palace, and focus on training them. Understood. Hua Qingxi nodded. When Yang Kai said that, she had the bottom line in her heart. Go and arrange it, I still have something to tell you later. Yang Kai waved his hand. Yes, Hua Qingxi replied, and then she flew into the air, and said coquettishly, since you have entered my High Heaven Palace, you are my High Heaven Palace's people, follow me. After all, she was also in the Emperor's senior realm, and when she spoke, the people from the two major families immediately came down in awe and followed her one after another. More than 100 people walked away in the blink of an eye. With a flash of Yang Kai's figure, he returned to his bedroom. Half a day later, Hua Qingxi came to report the situation. The people of the two families were arranged in a mountain with good aura. There were also ready-made buildings there, enough for them to live in. Hua Qingxi also left some training materials for them, tell them to investigate everyone's cultivation situation after 1 year, and give different names depending on the cultivation progress. There is nothing to be picky about this arrangement, and I believe that people from the two families will not complain about anything. Originally, in Fenggalan City, the two families were struggling to survive in the cracks, and they were always in fear. Now Lingxiao Palace not only gives them it is natural to be excited and happy to provide a safe and secure residence in such a good cultivation environment. Palace Master, you just said that you have something to tell me, what is it? Watching C asked after reporting the affairs of the two families. It's like this. I went back to the Southern Territory and went to Ziwen Chamber of Commerce to make a deal with them. Yang Kai briefly explained his deal. Watching C said, and then? Yang Kai Dao. Then I suddenly thought, can our Lingxiao Palace reach a long-term cooperative relationship with the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce? You see, we are in the Northern Territory, and they are in the Southern Territory. The products between the two great domains are different. There are some things the Northern Territory is rich in production and the price is cheap, but it is rare and expensive in the Southern Territory, and there are also some things that are reversed. If we can communicate with each other. Buying and selling, Watching C said, in the Star World, many merchants do this, but they need to go through thousands of mountains and rivers, and go through many dangerous obstacles before they can go back and forth between the two big domains. Lost Fate. But Lingxiao Palace is different. There is a cross-domain space magic circle here, and you can go back and forth between the two large domains casually. With this natural advantage, this business is absolutely profitable. Watching C pursed her lips and smiled. Even if you don't mention it, the Palace Master, I have thought about it. Oh, let me hear what you think. Yang Kai looked at her and said. Watching C said solemnly. This idea is very good, and it will definitely work, but there is a difficult problem. I wonder if the Palace Master has thought of it. I would like to hear the details. Yang Kai asked humbly. Whether there are enough manpower is another matter. As you know the situation of our Lingxiao Palace, Palace Master, there are not many serious disciples. If we really want to do this, we will definitely need a lot of manpower. But compared to this, the material the source is a big problem, unless. Unless what? Watching C smiled lightly. Unless the Palace Master asks someone to help collect supplies. Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, for example, Lilong Palace and Tianzong. Sister Hua, how good or bad are you? Watching C pouted and said, anyway, their two sects owe us so many source crystals, and asking them to pay in kind is a special kindness to them. That's right. Yang Kai smiled and nodded. By the way, this matter might as well be called Bingxin Valley. Bingxin Valley is no better than us. It has a deep and huge foundation. It should be easy to get some supplies from the Northern Territory. Okay, to be continued. This book comes from Pin and Shu Hash Wang. Chapter 2763. As for what to buy or sell, you have to carefully consider it carefully, otherwise you will not only lose money, but also lose money. Watching C said, I will go to the South region to investigate this matter myself. If this happens, it will affect the future plans of Lingxiao Palace. Don't look at Yang Kai's wealth as incomparable to the country now, and Lilong Palace and Tianzong also owe a lot of debt to Lingxiao Palace, but if a sect wants to last long, it must have its own business. Yang Kai didn't stay in Lingxiao Palace for long, and returned to the southern region the next day. A few days later, Yang Kai looked at the rolling mountains in front of him, and his figure was flying like lightning. That mountain range was the Qingyang Mountain Range, and he was going to the Qingyang Temple. Although he is only keeping a name in the Qingyang Temple, but after all, he has the Qingyang Golden Token. Both Wen Zishan and Gao Shueting value him very much. Now that he has returned to the southern region, he should return to the temple for love and reason. Take a look. In addition, he had to go into the Immortal Journey Mirror to tell Tianyan the good news that he had found the Shengxian fruit. Originally, he planned to refine the Shengxian pill by himself, but now that he has Ji Ying as his helper, he will entrust the refining of the Shengxian pill to Ji Ying. Before leaving, Yang Kai has left all the medicinal materials in Lingxiao Palace. I believe that next time I go back, I can get the Shengxian pill. As long as there is a life pill, then Tianyan can reshape the physical body, get rid of the shackles of the magic mirror, come to the world of the Star World, and become the solid backing of Lingxiao Palace. With a strong man of the Great Emperor level as the backer, Lingxiao Palace will become the Great Emperor sect if it is not the Great Emperor sect. At that time, its status will definitely not be much worse than that of Star God Palace and Yuewen Palace. Suddenly, Yang Kai paused, stayed in the void, looked aside coldly, and said in a deep voice, "Which friend is sneaky? Why don't you show up and see?" When the words fell, a group of rays of light suddenly burst out in the void over there. The rays of light were so dazzling that Yang Kai couldn't help squinting his eyes until the rays of light dissipated. Two Yingwei extraordinary figures were revealed. One is a middle-aged man, with a white face and no beard, his expression is not angry and majestic, and the other is a young man who looks similar to Yang Kai. Function is handsome, with sword eyebrows and star eyes. The two looked a little similar in appearance, and seemed to be a father-son relationship. That middle-aged man was fine, his eyes were flat. But when the young man looked at Yang Kai, his eyes were full of eagerness to fight. Master Xiao. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows. Xiao Yuyang said, "You are Yang Kai?" "Exactly." Yang Kai nodded, looked at the young man, and said with a smile, "Brother Xiao, farewell to Broken Star Sea, are you safe?" These two people are people from Star God Palace, and Yang Kai recognizes them all. Needless to say, that young man Xiao Chen, Yang Kai had dealt with him many times, and every time he followed Princess Lan Xuan play the role of flower protector. And his father, Xiao Yuyang, was also one of the first batch of Emperor Senior Realm Yang Kai saw after he came to the Star Realm. At that time, Xiao Yuyang was the Silver Star Envoy of the Star God Palace, and his cultivation reached the second level of the Emperor Senior Realm, is the existence that Yang Kai needs to look up to, and can blow him to death with just one breath. After so many years, Xiao Yuyang's aura seems to be getting stronger and stronger, and it has reached the level of the Emperor's three-layer mirror. As for Xiao Chen, his cultivation is not weak. At the first level of Emperor Zun, it seems that he gained a lot in the Sea of Broken Stars. These two people suddenly appeared here, and happened to block Yang Kai's way. The intention is already apparent. Star God Palace Elder Tan Junhao and Deacon Wu Ming were killed. Star God Palace has been investigating this matter for a while, checking, and naturally found Yang Kai, but Yang Kai's recent whereabouts are a bit elusive. Even if the Star God Palace is the Great Emperor's sect, there are a lot of eyeliners, and they still can't grasp his movements. A few days ago, I received a message from a disciple named Luo Ping, saying that he saw Yang Kai in Fenggalan City. Xiao Yuyang rushed over non-stop. Now Xiao Yuyang is also one of the elders of the Star God Palace. His cultivation base is superb. It is not for Yang Kai's face to go out in person, but from the news obtained from the Star God Palace, Tan Junhao and Wu Ming are both he died at the hands of Yang Kai. With such a strong record, people with core cultivation might not be able to do anything, only the Emperor Senior three-layer mirror can do it. For Tan Junhao's matter, all the elders of the Star God Palace's three-level mirror of the Emperor Senior have been dispatched, looking for Yang Kai's whereabouts. Xiao Yuyang knew that Yang Kai was a disciple of Qingyang Temple, and secretly felt that since Yang Kai appeared in Fenggalan City, he might return to Qingyang Temple, so he ambushed here. Facts have proved that his speculation was correct, and he waited here for a long time. After a month, Yang Kai was finally caught. Hearing Yang Kai's words, Xiao Chen sneered, "Who are you? Do I know you?" With his nostrils upturned, he looked like he didn't take everyone seriously, as if he had a strong sense of superiority towards anyone. After a few contacts, how could Yang Kai not know his peeing nature, so he just smiled and didn't get angry, but looked at Xiao Yuyang and said, "I don't know why Master Xiao blocked the boy's way. You still dare to ask knowingly." Xiao Chen was furious, pointing at Yang Kai with a long sword in his hand. "You don't know what good things you have done yourself. You are pretending here." Yang Kai smiled and said, "I don't understand what Brother Xiao said." Xiao Chen said with a sullen face, "Do you really understand or do you pretend to understand?" Yang Kai didn't care about him, just looked at Xiao Yuyang, making Xiao Chen angry. Xiao Yuyang put his hands behind his back, his face was calm, but he was a little amazed in his heart. To Yang Kai, he was extremely unfamiliar before this, and he only vaguely remembered that there was a person in the Tao Origin realm refining a furnace of Tai Miao pill, which made a lot of limelight, and that person was called Yang Kai. He didn't know about the others, and he also inquired about Yang Kai's affairs with Xiao Chen carefully these few days. Only then did he realize that this young man was a bit outrageous, and all the things he did, even in his opinion, were extremely serious, difficult. His own son can be regarded as a dragon among men, but compared with the other party, he seems to pale in comparison. Meeting face to face at this moment, Xiao Yuyang's evaluation of Yang Kai was 1 point higher. He is an elder of the Star God Palace, and he has the cultivation base of the third-level mirror of Emperor Zun. He, a young man of the first level of Emperor Zun, didn't have the slightest fear when facing him, but talked freely and calmly. Light. Did Tan Junhao and Wu Ming really commit suicide? Strong doubts emerged in Xiao Yuyang's heart. Yang Kai's strength is here, Tan Junhao and Wu Ming were not made of mud, how could they die in his hands? But judging from the investigation of the Star God Palace during this period, and the confessions of the more than 20 Emperor Senior Realms, the deaths of Tan Junhao and Wu Ming, even if Yang Kai did not do it, are absolutely inseparable from him. Tan Junhao, Wu Ming. Xiao Yuyang didn't say much, he just announced two names, and a pair of eyes stared at Yang Kai's eyes, as if he wanted to look into the depths of Yang Kai's heart to catch the slightest psychological fluctuation. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows and said, "So this is the matter. Well, if Master Xiao came to inquire about these two people, then the boy can tell Master Xiao that I killed these two people." He readily admitted it, without any attempt to hide it. Fart. Xiao Chen looked contemptuous and sarcastic, obviously not believing it. "It is said that there is a powerful demon king beside you." Xiao Yuyang pointed, "Where is the demon king?" Yang Kai shook his head and said, "The demon king is not here." Xiao Yuyang said, "Yang Kai, you are also a material that can be made, I don't want to embarrass you, you tell me the whereabouts of the demon king, and then follow me back to the Star God Palace." Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, "Master Xiao thought that Tan Junhao and Wu Ming died at the hands of the demon king. Is there any other possibility?" Yang Kai laughed and shook his head constantly, but he didn't expect that no one would believe the truth. After pondering for a while, his expression became solemn, and he said, "As the elder of the Star God Palace, Tan Junhao represents the Star God Palace and the Great Emperor, and should protect my warriors from the southern region, but in Liang City, he has gone against the grain and used shameless means to control many people. Emperor Prestige Realm, instructing those Emperor Prestige Realms to be enemies with the boy, and want to snatch the treasure from the boy. The boy killed him in anger, which can be regarded as cleaning up the door for the Star God Palace. If you don't ask the Great Emperor and the Star God Palace to thank you, don't come looking for it. I'm fine if I trouble you, but Lord Xiao is blocking my way here today. If this is the attitude of the Star God Palace, then the kid is very disappointed in the Star God Palace. Xingshan Palace does things, you can't let me dictate." Xiao Chen snorted coldly. Xiao Yuyang nodded and said, "My Xingshan Palace has basically found out what happened. Tan Junhao is unkind, bullying the weak, ruining the reputation of Xingshan Palace, and death is not a pity. If you really kill him, then I will be rejected by Xingshan Palace." 2 words, but if he died at the hands of a demon king, things will be different, do you understand? Yang Kai said impatiently, "The demon king didn't make a move, didn't the Emperor Senior Realm not tell you about these things?" Xiao Yuyang said, "It's true, but it's hard to believe, so you need to go back to the Star God Palace with me. Xiao promises that no one will harm you, as long as you tell Xiao that the demon king isn't anywhere." Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and said, "Forgive me for being unable to agree to Master Xiao's request." "You can't trust me." Xiao Yuyang frowned slightly. Yang Kai Dao, "Master Xiao and I are not related, how can we trust you?" "It's not speculative, Dad, there's no need to talk nonsense with him, let the child take him down." Xiao Chen was eager to try for a long time, but at this moment he couldn't help it anymore. Light Wanton, Fitten rushed towards Yang Kai, snorted coldly, "I thought I was so great when I was promoted to Emperor Zun, today I will let you see the difference between you and me." The emperors will permeated, the swords will reach the sky, and the sound of scoffing was endless. Xiao Chen's expression was solemn, and he whispered in his mouth, "The fragrance comes from the snow hidden in the plum, and the oblique moon grinds the mirror to the sky." Yu Yi's move is a very powerful killing move, and the sword is graceful, making people dazzled. Yang Kai laughed loudly, "Return the original words." With one hand, he made a strange gesture, and slapped towards the center of the mighty sword with one palm. When Xiao Yuyang saw his son displaying this sword move, he secretly praised him, but when Yang Kai made a move, his expression changed. To be continued. Chapter 2764 How dare you refuse to try? As a strong 3-layer mirror of the Emperor, Xiao Yuyang's eyesight is not comparable to that of flowers that grow in the greenhouse like Xiao Chen, and he can tell at a glance that Xiao Chen is definitely not Yang Kai's opponent. Shocked in my heart, Xiao Chen and Yang Kai were almost promoted to the Emperor Senior stage because of the broken star sea. It can be said that there is not much difference in time, but the strength is far apart. Chen'er, back away, Xiao Yuyang shouted. It's a pity that it was already too late. A palm protruded out of the sword curtain, and the sword curtain withered along the way, and even Xiao Chen's sword intent was extremely chaotic. Xiao Chen turned pale with shock, and hurriedly backed away, but the palm that destroyed his sword curtain followed him like a shadow, and it was about to be imprinted on his chest. At the critical moment, a strong wind came from the side, but it was Xiao Yuyang who rescued him. Yang Kai stepped a little, and his figure stopped in an instant from the extreme movement, and the strong wind flew past his fingertips. Standing in the middle of Yang Kai and Xiao Chen, Xiao Yuyang said solemnly, Yang Kai, I don't want to bully the small with the big, and I don't want to fight with you, maybe you can cooperate for a while. Yang Kai grinned. No. Xiao Yuyang sighed lightly. If that's the case, then you'll be offended. When the words fell, he stretched out his hand and grabbed Yang Kai. Under that grab, it seemed that the whole world was imprisoned, and there was a humming sound in the void. Facing Xiao Yuyang's grab, Yang Kai did not dodge, and said casually, Master Xiao, Fei Xiaozi looks down on you, but I'm afraid you won't be able to keep Xiao Yuyang like this. There will be a meeting in the mountains and rivers, and there will be a period later. The law of space rose up and down, and the figure suddenly turned into nothingness, leaving only an afterimage on the spot. Xiao Yuyang scratched and broke the afterimage, his face changed slightly. He shouted in a low voice, Space supernatural powers. Turning his head to look, there was no trace of Yang Kai, he had gone to nowhere, and his divine sense was released, but he couldn't catch Yang Kai's aura, his face sank all of a sudden. He did it himself. Unexpectedly failed to stop Yang Kai. If this matter got out, no one would believe it. Originally, he thought that the death of Tan Junhao and Wu Ming was caused by the Demon King, but now it seems that there is a slight possibility that Yang Kai did it. Not to mention, the intelligence said that this kid had the mountain and river clock of Emperor Yuanding. That is a rare treasure, no one knows how powerful the mountain and river clock is. Turn around and look. I saw Xiao Chen standing there with a dazed face. His big hand holding the long sword was trembling, his face was livid and ugly. Being defeated by Yang Kai's move was a huge blow to Xiao Chen. Before that, he always thought that even if he had just been promoted to the Emperor Senior stage, he was by no means comparable to those cats and dogs. He was the core disciple of the Star God Palace. It is Xiao Yuyang's son. He has been trained since he was a child, and he is an elite of the Star God Palace. Among warriors of the same level, he is an invincible existence. But now, this sense of superiority that was born since childhood was shattered by Yang Kai's palm, which is almost unacceptable. Victory or defeat is a common matter for military strategists. Instead of worrying about gains and losses at this moment, it is better to think about how to improve your strength. Xiao Yuyang said lightly. Xiao Chen was shocked. Finally regaining his senses, he said in a deep voice, Father taught me that. Let's go. Xiao Yuyang stretched out his hand. Where are you going? Xiao Chen asked. Qingyang Temple. Xiao Yuyang replied and flew out first. He ambushed here and met Yang Kai, so Yang Kai's intentions were obvious. He is going to Qingyang Temple. Since he can't be stopped here, go to Qingyang Temple to find him. In any case, this matter must be brought to an end. Who is coming? Stop quickly. Not long after flying forward, two figures rushed towards him. The leader shouted loudly, blocking Yang Kai's way. Yang Kai had also been in and out of the Qingyang Temple many times, so he naturally knew the rules, so he immediately took out the Qingyang golden token and threw it to the two disciples guarding the mountain. The leader took the token, his face changed. Qingyang Golden Order. This golden order is something that only a few core disciples in the temple are entitled to have. Although they are also disciples of the Qingyang Temple, they are far from the core disciples. Look at Yang Kai again, his face is so raw that he doesn't know him at all, he is definitely not one of the core disciples in the temple. The leading disciple suddenly shouted angrily, Where is the little thief, dare to pretend to be a disciple of my temple, where did you get this golden order? When they spoke, the two immediately sacrificed their secret treasures, their aura locked on Yang Kai, and they were ready to strike at any time. Yang Kai is a registered disciple of Qingyang Temple, and Gao Shueding gave him the Golden Order in Fenggalan City back then, and did not inform the entire temple, so many disciples of the temple didn't know Yang Kai at all. The token of the core disciples, naturally extremely vigilant. Yang Kai Dao. The token was given to me by Elder Gao, you can ask Elder Gao or other elders, just say that Yang Kai is here, they will naturally explain to you. Yang Kai. The leading disciple frowned, winked at the junior brother at the side, and nodded, wait a minute. As he spoke, he took out the communication compass, probably reporting the matter to the higher-ups. After waiting for a while, the communication compass vibrated, and the leader's martial artist's divine sense was immersed in it, and a strange expression appeared on his face. The elder sent a message, this token is real, this person named Yang Kai is also a disciple of the temple. I've offended you, senior brother. With the elder's order, the disciple guarding the mountain naturally didn't dare to stop him, and turned away immediately. Elder Gao said, let you go to Wansheng Peak to find her. Yang Kai nodded, took back the golden order, and when he passed by the 2 disciples who guarded the mountain, he suddenly told him, "By the way, there are 2 more guys coming over later, find a way to stop them for a while." Yes. The 2 guarding disciples immediately agreed without knowing the truth. Wansheng Peak is one of the main peaks of Qingyang Temple. Yang Kai flew over the sky with ease, and saw a white figure standing in front of the hall from a distance, looking over here. That figure was like a white lotus, pure and flawless, the well-fitting dress showed the delicate curves, and there was another small figure standing beside her. From a distance, Yang Kai showed a smile and greeted him over there. Before he got close, the white figure suddenly raised his bare hands, and a round mirror like the sun suddenly rose behind his head, like a scorching sun, the temperature in the air suddenly rose. Dabao, sunglasses. A few scorching rays of light shot out from the mirror, turning into beautiful arcs, and blasted towards Yang Kai in an instant. Yang Kai was startled, a million swords were sacrificed, and a move of Yusho's sword followed the trend, turning into a sword screen to guard the front of him. Chi 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 chi. The scorching light was blocked by the sword curtain, unable to advance an inch, but Yang Kai was forced to retreat again and again. After dispelling those rays of light, a figure flashed in front of her, and Gao Shueding suddenly appeared in front of her, stretched out a jade hand, lightly clenched it into a fist, straightened her middle finger, and knocked on Yang Kaido. Yang Kai didn't dare to hide, he endured it for a while, his head was hit with a bang, and his whole body became shorter. Elder Gao. Yang Kai felt aggrieved as he touched the place where he was knocked. Gao Shueding let out a cold snort from her nose, she squinted at Yang Kai and said, "The wings are hard. Dare to fight back with me. Where is it?" Yang Kai looked wronged, instinctive reaction. "Do you know why I beat you?" Gao Shueding asked. Yang Kai said with a sneer, "I haven't come back for a long time, let your old man miss you." Gao Shueding snorted, "It's fine if you don't come back. You have caused such a big mess and encountered such great danger. Why don't you ask for help from the temple? Do you think the temple is an outsider, or are you an outsider?" Yang Kai immediately understood that she was referring to the Xingshan Palace, he couldn't help feeling warm in his heart, and laughed. "Stop smiling with me, get out of here." Gao Shueding stretched out her hand, grabbed one of Yang Kai's ears, and dragged him to the 10,000 Saints Peak. "I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die." Yang Kai tilted his head, holding the million sword in his hand, and was led away by Gao Shueding. He could straighten his back even in the face of the great emperor and the Holy Spirit, but at this moment he didn't dare to resist in the slightest. They were all about to be unscrewed, begging for mercy loudly, without any integrity. Flying straight to the 10,000 Saints Peak, Gao Shueding let go of her hand and slapped Yang Kai on the back of the head. Yang Kai staggered, and dared not speak. Looking up and seeing Wen Zishan, he hurriedly stepped forward. "Master Wen, you are auspicious." The corner of Wen Zishan's mouth twitched. He looked up at the sky, turned a deaf ear, and kindly sent a voice transmission to Yang Kai. "Xiao Shueding is very angry, you let her calm down first, otherwise the master of the palace will not dare to talk to you." Yang Kai's face darkened, and he cast a contemptuous look. Turning his head to look at the people next to him, whether it was the deputy hall master Chu Ran, or the elders Chen Qian, Di Rong, and Yu Kun, they all turned their eyes away and turned a blind eye to him. Only Gao Shueding stared at him coldly, her eyes were like a sharp sword, as if she wanted to stab Yang Kai full of holes. Yang Kai walked up to Gao Shueding obediently, lowered his eyebrows and said, "Elder Gao, this disciple is wrong, please punish Elder Gao." Gao Shueding said indifferently, "What is wrong with you? Why did this elder punish you? By the way, I still want to thank you. If you hadn't saved me last time, this elder might not have been able to escape safely." As he spoke, he actually saluted Yang Kai. Yang Kai was startled, and turned sideways. Gao Shueding adjusted her direction and saluted again. Yang Kai said with a mournful face, "Elder Gao, what do you want? Even if I promise you, it won't work." Gao Shueding immediately raised her head, staring at Yang Kai with burning eyes and said, "You have already talked about this, then the elder will not embarrass you, you only need to promise me one thing, this elder will bypass you this time." Quote. "You said." Yang Kai's eyes lit up. "Become the elder of the temple." Hearing this, Yang Kai's face turned solemn, and he said solemnly, "Elder Gao, this matter. Do you dare to refuse?" A cold light flashed in Gao Shueding's hand, a sword immediately pressed against Yang Kai's neck. She gritted her teeth and said, "This elder has spoken in person, how dare you refuse to try?" To be continued. Opening parenthesis closing parenthesis. Chapter 2765. Don't dare to ask any more. Phone reading. CPA 300_4. Yang Kai's whole body was stiff and he didn't dare to move. A drop of cold sweat slid down his forehead, and he said with a straight face, the disciple said, "This matter. I agree." Opening parenthesis quote. Children can be taught. Gao Shueding curled her lips and put away her long sword. It wasn't until this time that the deputy hall master, Chu ran, and many elders stepped forward with smiles, clasped their hands together, and called Elder Yang Union. Wen Zishan also smiled all over his face. Okay, my temple has added an elder. It's really gratifying, congratulations. The master of the temple has decided, and the canonization ceremony will be held in 5 days to announce to the world. Yang Kai shook his head and said hurriedly, "How master, this matter is unnecessary, disciple now." Before he could finish speaking, Wen Zishan patted his shoulder with a smile and said, "No need to say more, I know." Yang Kai opened his mouth, thousands of words turned into a sigh. He killed Tan Junhao and Wu Ming, although there was a reason for it, but after all, he was confronted with such a giant as the Star God Palace. Once he became the elder of Qingyang Temple, he would definitely bring trouble to the temple. It's nothing more than a sneaky thing, but when Zishan wants to hold a canonization ceremony to announce it to the world, isn't it clear that he will burn himself? Yang Kai was moved but also a little uneasy. If it was really because of himself that he brought disaster to the temple, it would be terrible. But when Zishan knew this and insisted on doing so, obviously wanting to protect him with the power of the temple. Gao Shueding said from the side, "Among the disciples of the temple, once promoted to emperor, they can become the elders of the sect and enjoy the power of elders. Sha Sheng is like this, so you don't have to have any psychological burden." Yang Kai scratched his head and said, "There is one thing I want to teach you to know, the disciple created a sect some time ago." Oh, when Zishan and Gao Shueding looked at each other, quite surprised, and many elders were also extremely stunned. Now the disciple can be regarded as the master of the first palace, and if he becomes the elder of the temple, there may be some conflicts. Wen Zishan nodded when she heard the words, but Gao Shueding looked suspicious. "Aren't you lying to me? Are you trying to shirk the position of elder?" Yang Kai hurriedly said, "How dare, the fact is true." Gao Shueding frowned and said, "Although you are an emperor and have the qualifications to start a sect, you are still young after all. Getting involved in these matters too early is not good for your future. Now you should focus on improving your own cultivation as your primary goal." Elder Xie Gao is concerned, and this disciple knows it too, but this disciple has a reason to establish a sect. Yang Kai nodded. Gao Shueding sighed and said, "Since the sect has been established, super multi-reading novel can't be disbanded. How about this, your sect will form an alliance with the temple. If there is anything that needs help, the temple will help, but even the temple can send some people to help you. It also saves you from worrying too much about mundane matters." Yang Kai smiled and said, "Someone will take care of the sect's affairs, so I don't need to worry about it." "That's the best. You are also a smart person, you should know that your own strength is the foundation of everything." Gao Shueding pondered for a while, and said, "But since you are the master of the first palace, it is really inappropriate to become the elder of the temple. In this way, well, you will be a guest elder. What do you think the palace master thinks?" Wen Zishan said with a smile. Xiao Shueding says what she says. Although Elder Kei Qing is also a kind of elder, he is more free and can come and go freely, which is somewhat similar to Yang Kai's previous registered disciple status. But more noble. By the way, what is your sect called and where is it located? Gao Shueding asked. Chu Ran, Chen Qian and the others also looked at Yang Kai with curious expressions. Lingxiao Palace, it's in the Northern Territory. Yang Kai grinned. The Northern Territory is so far away. Gao Shueding frowned. The Qingyang Temple is in the Southern Territory, and the Lingxiao Palace is in the Northern Territory. The distance between the two is hundreds of millions of miles. Even if they form an alliance, it may be useless. Once something really happens to the Lingxiao Palace, the Qingyang Temple will not be able to save the near fire. How is the strength of the sect? How many disciples does it have? Yang Kai looked at Gao Shueding embarrassingly, and asked cautiously, Elder Gao wants to hear the truth, or is it a lie? You dare to tell half a lie? Gao Shueding stared at her beautifully. The corner of Yang Kai's mouth twitched. He replied, there are not many disciples, there are more than 100 in total. More than 100 people. Gao Shueding nodded slightly, but she didn't mean to underestimate it. After all, Yang Kai had only been promoted to Emperor Zun not long ago. Even if he created a sect, it must be a small sect. It is also very good to be able to recruit more than 100 disciples. The sect is like a snowball, slowly growing. Strength. There are good and bad. Emperor Senior Realm. There are 6 other than me. What? Many elders were shocked. There are 6 more. Doesn't that mean there are 7 emperors? Are you sure there are only more than 100 people in the sect? The elders of the temple couldn't calm down immediately, and even Wen Zishan's eyes widened a lot. In a sect with more than 100 people, there are actually 7 emperors sitting in it. What sect is this? This ratio is too scary, right? One must know that there are tens of thousands of disciples in the Qingyang temple, and there are only a dozen or so emperor-level disciples. Gao Shueting was even more astonished. She thought that the sect created by Yang Kai was just a small sect, but now it seems that this sect seems to be a bit serious. Those 6, what cultivation level are they? Yang Kai scratched his face and said, a first-tier Emperor Senior Realm Chief Manager handles the sect affairs for me. There is also an Emperor Senior First-tier Emperor Master, and an Emperor Senior Second-tier Emperor Pill Division. Hiss. A gasp sounded, and everyone on Wansheng Peak looked at Yang Kai as if they had seen a ghost. In a sect with more than 100 people, it is shocking enough to have 7 Emperor Senior Realm Masters, but according to Yang Kai's introduction, among these Emperor Senior Realm Masters, there is actually an Emperor Formation Master and an Emperor Alchemy Master. How is this possible? Even the Qingyang Temple does not have its own Emperor Formation Master and Emperor Alchemy Master. I am afraid that only those great Emperor sects can have such a background. Where are the other 3? Gao Shueting asked, her eyes filled with shock. Yang Kai tilted his head, a little embarrassed and said, those 3 are Demon Kings. Everyone was stunned. Demon King. There are still 3. Only the Demon Clan whose strength is comparable to the Emperor's 3-layer mirror is eligible to be called the Demon King. In other words, the strength of any Demon King is not inferior to Wen Zishan, the master of the Qingyang Temple. The temple is known as one of the top sects in the southern region precisely because Wen Zishan is in charge. The same is true for the Wuhua Temple in the Tianwu Holy Land. But in Yang Kai's newly established High Heaven Palace, there are actually 3 such powerful beings. With such a background, apart from not having a great emperor, and having fewer emperor prestige realms, in which respect is it worse than the great emperor's sect? If such a sect really wanted to develop and grow stronger, its sharpness would probably overwhelm all the forces in the star realm except the great emperor's sect. After being shocked, Gao Shueting suddenly said solemnly, if you are not of my race, their hearts must be different. Yang Kai, how can you control those 3 demon kings? How can they be willing to listen to your orders? Wen Zishan also nodded seriously. Yes, you have to be careful about this. Yang Kai nodded and said, the disciple knows. You are not a reckless person. Now that we know it, we won't say much. Wen Zishan nodded lightly, then grinned suddenly, and said, but from this point of view, your Lingxiao Palace is really qualified to form a marriage relationship with the temple. It's an alliance, it's just that the road is a bit far away, it's a pity. By the way, since your Lingxiao Palace has such a foundation, where does the selected foundation fall? The powerful development of a sect is closely related to its location. Must not be sloppy. The disciple robbed someone else's territory, and the dove occupied the magpie's nest, so I didn't worry too much about it. Yang Kai chuckled. Oh, Wen Zishan raised his brows, which sect's foundation was robbed? Although the master of the sect in the northern territory doesn't know much, he has heard of a few. Ask Love Sect. Wen Zishan's expression became extremely exciting in an instant. He stared blankly at Yang Kai, and even the elders all opened their mouths wide. Ask the Emotion Sect. They naturally all know that one of the top sects in the Northern Territory, Lun's status is almost the same as that of the Qingyang Temple in the Southern Territory. Yang Kai actually snatched Wenqing Sect's territory, and established a sect there. In other words, Wenqing Sect must have been destroyed. After thinking about it, this Lingxiao Palace has such a strong background, it is not impossible to destroy Wenqing Sect. Not bad. Wen Qingzong's foundation is definitely not bad. Wen Zishan's face was full of cold sweat. For the first time, he realized that he had underestimated Yang Kai. Before, he only thought he had great potential, so he did everything possible to get him to join the Qingyang Temple, and finally got a registered disciple's identity reads. But it's only been a few years since I saw this registered disciple actually did such an earth-shattering event. If the 2 domains were not too far apart, the news would have already spread to the southern domain, shaking the entire star domain. Okay, stop the gossip, the canonization ceremony will be held in 5 days, and there are still many things to be busy. Gao Shueding changed the subject. I didn't dare to ask any more, and if I continued to ask, I was afraid that I would hear some shocking news again. At this moment, Gao Shueding frowned suddenly, took out the communication compass, checked it, raised her head and said, Master, Xiao Yuyang is here. Wen Zishan narrowed his eyes and said, You came so fast. Yang Kai Dao. I met him on the road, but I got rid of him, he should be chasing me. Wen Zishan nodded and said, I see. Xiao Shang, take him away for a while. Gao Shueding responded, and said to Yang Kai, Follow me. Yang Kai clasped his fists at the elders and saluted, and then flew away with Gao Shueding. Although he was not afraid of Xiao Yuyang, it would definitely not be a good thing to meet him at this time, so he simply avoided seeing him, but Yang Kai felt a little sorry for involving Qingyang Temple in this muddy water. Not long after, Gao Shueding brought Yang Kai to the Zizhu Peak where she lived. On the Zizhu Peak, there were patches of purple bamboos stretching overcast and swaying in the wind. There is only one building on the top of the huge purple bamboo peak, which looks extremely deserted. This should have something to do with Gao Shueding's temperament. Opening parenthesis. Closing parenthesis. This book comes from Pin and Shu Hash Wang. Chapter 2766 Refining. In Qingyang Temple, every elder has his own spiritual peak, and this purple bamboo peak belongs to Gao Shueding. If Yang Kai is canonized as the elder of Qingyang Temple, he will also have such treatment, but the canonization ceremony will be a few days later, and now Yang Kai can only stay in Zizhufeng for a few days. The peak was deserted, there was not even a maid. Gao Shueding arranged for Yang Kai to stay in the guest hall on the side of the mountain, told him not to run around, then turned and left. Elder Gao, Yang Kai suddenly called out to stop her. Gao Shueding looked back. I still have one thing to ask Elder Gao for help. Yang Kai said solemnly. What's up? I want to go into the Immortal Mirror. Enter the mirror. Gao Shueding frowned. Why? The Divine Travel Mirror is the biggest secret of the Qingyang Temple, and Yang Kai was able to enter the Divine Travel Mirror world because he brought back a few star seals to the temple and made great contributions. Although Yang Kai is now considered a quasi-elder of Qingyang Temple and is qualified to enter the Immortal Travel Mirror, but this matter must not be sloppy. Gao Shueding naturally wants to ask clearly. Yang Kai pondered for a while, and did not hide anything, and spoke out the agreement with Tianyan. Gao Shueding was surprised and said, Did you meet that senior in the mirror last time? And you made such an agreement with him? Yeah, Yang Kai nodded. At that time, I just said it casually. After many years, it's time to give someone an answer. Gao Shueding was slightly lost and said, I have heard from the Hall Master that there is an incredible expert in the world of the magic mirror, and I have been in and out of the magic mirror many times, but I have never been able to see it. I didn't expect you to have this blessing. Since there is an agreement, it should be fulfilled, but the life pill is not easy to get. Shungshan pill has been obtained. Yang Kai smiled slightly. Gao Shueding's expression lifted. Really? Yang Kai smiled and said, I have prepared all the materials, and soon my Emperor Alchemy Master in Lingxiao Palace will be able to refine the birth body pill. How sure are you? Gao Shueding asked nervously. Although she heard of Shungshan Dan for the first time, she also knew that it was definitely not that easy to refine. Even if the Emperor Alchemist personally tried it, there was no guarantee of a 100% success rate. Yang Kai Dao. I forgot to tell Elder Gao, the Emperor Alchemist of my Lingxiao Palace is the 5th disciple of Emperor Miaodan. Gao Shueding was dumbfounded for a while, before she said in shock, You abducted the direct disciple of Emperor Miaodan to your own sect as an alchemist. It's too courageous. Originally, Yang Kai had an Emperor Alchemy Master in the Lingxiao Palace that was scary enough, but he never thought that this Emperor Alchemy Master would have such a great background. He was the 5th disciple under the seat of Emperor Miaodan, that is, those 3rd-level emperors. I'm afraid I will be respectful when I see it in the mirror. What puzzled Gao Shueding the most was, how could Emperor Miaodan agree to such a thing? However, if the disciple of Emperor Miaodan took the shot, then there should be no possibility of missing the refining life pill. If you want to enter the mirror on weekdays, it's not a difficult task, but now. Gao Shueding suddenly frowned again. What's the matter now? Yang Kai was stunned. Gao Shueding said, You are not an outsider, so it's okay to tell you. Now someone is using the magic mirror, so you can't interfere easily. It may be difficult for you to enter the magic mirror now. Yang Kai had a surprised expression on his face. The people he met on the 10,000 Saints Peak included almost all the high-level people in the Qingyang Temple. Who else is using the magic mirror? And it can't be interfered unexpectedly. It seems that the identity of the person using the magic mirror is unusual. Yang Kai thought about it, but he didn't expect that there was such a person in Qingyang Temple. I'll talk to the palace master about this, and see if I can think of a way to get the best of both worlds. If it doesn't work, just wait for a while. Anyway, it's been so many years since you made an agreement with that senior, you don't have a ready-made life pill either. Okay, Yang Kai nodded, and now, it can only be like this. He also asked about Xiao Bai and Marong Xiao's situation, and learned that they have been practicing in seclusion since the return of Broken Star Sea, and there is no sign of leaving the seclusion so far. Yang Kai also gave up the idea of looking for them to catch up on the old days. The two of them are also the core disciples of the Qingyang Temple, and they are the talents of the future, but they are a little worse than Sha Shang. But they didn't have this opportunity, but they gained a lot in the Sea of Broken Stars, and this time they retreated with the awareness that they would never leave the closed door without breaking through the Emperor. Gao Shueding left. Yang Kai sat cross-legged, stretched out his hand, and a large box that seemed to be made of fine iron appeared in front of him. Fei Hong Black Dragon Armor. Yang Kai didn't have time to take a closer look at the Emperor-level middle-grade treasure armor that was auctioned at the Ziwan auction, until this time. Stretching out his hand, he gently stroked the treasure armor in the box. Suddenly, a roar came out from the box, and the black air quickly overflowed from the pieces of treasure armor, gathered into a ball, and turned into a black dragon's head. Shape, entrenched on top of the box, staring at Yang Kai with big Tonggong eyes. Hey! Yang Kai looked up at the ink shadow and grinned. According to the Ziwan Chamber of Commerce, this Fei Hong Black Dragon armor is refined from the skin of the ink dragon. The ink dragon is extremely rare and is known for its strong defense. When refining, it should be fused with the inner alchemy of the ink dragon. That's why Mo Zhao's soul will appear at this time. In other words, this Fei Hong Melangia still seems to have a weapon spirit. This kind of secret treasure refined from the body material of a powerful monster can be perfectly integrated with the soul in its inner alchemy. Ziwan Chamber of Commerce did not say this point. Yang Kai is probably afraid of affecting the value of this precious armor in the hearts of bidders. Although the value of a secret treasure with a weapon spirit is much higher, it also depends on what kind of weapon spirit it is. The weapon spirit of Fei Hong's ink dragon armor is the soul of the ink dragon. Although the ink dragon is a dragon, it has the blood of the dragon clan. Such a weapon spirit is not something ordinary people can subdue. Just like when Yang Kai touched the Fei Hong Black Dragon armor at this time, the ink dragon divine soul artifact spirit suddenly appeared. If this artifact spirit was not refined and let the artifact spirit recognize its master, it would be impossible to exert the effect of the treasure armor. The huge ink dragon artifact spirit was almost condensed into substance, and Yang Kai reflected in those eyes was as small as an ant. But at the next moment, there was a depressing and high-pitched dragon chant sound from the ant's body. The golden light was shining, and the original power of the golden holy dragon swayed leisurely, came to the back of my mind. The Mo Zhao Keeling, who was supposed to be a dead thing, had no sense of consciousness, unexpectedly showed a trace of fear, and the raised head was even shorter. Jin Shenglong's aura became stronger, and the ink dragon shrank into the box involuntarily. The suppressing power of the dragon's blood is a strange and miraculous phenomenon, and no other race can imagine the horror of this suppression. Just like Li Jiao of Emperor Zun's three-layered mirror facing Zhu Qing, who can't give birth to the slightest heart of resistance, any existence with dragon blood, while gaining powerful power, also has to carry this indelible burden on his back, shackles. If it were the Emperor's three-layer mirror next to it, even if Zhu Qing could win, she wouldn't win too easily, but if she confronted Li Jiao, she could take his life casually. Are you afraid? Yang Kai grinned grinningly like a villain, staring at the ink dragon artifact in a sinister way. If you are afraid, go back and use it for me, otherwise you will be fascinated. I don't know if the ink dragon artifact understood it. Anyway, when Yang Kai's voice fell, the ink dragon artifact really shrank back, the rich black energy dissipated and reintegrated into the treasure armor. At the same time, on the 10,000 Saints Peak, headed by Wen Zishan, all the senior officials of the Qingyang Temple were waiting in awe. Two streamers of light flew towards them quickly and landed in front of everyone, revealing the figures of Xiao Yuyang and his son. Xiao Chen met Palace Master Wen, and all seniors. Xiao Chen cupped his fists and saluted. Although he is proud and arrogant, He is arrogant in the face of his peers, but after all, he has a good family education, and he will not lose his manners on this occasion. Wen Zishan smiled and nodded. Young Master Xiao has a heart. Then he cupped his fists and said to Xiao Yuyang, "It's been a long time, Brother Xiao." "Master Wen," Xiao Yuyang responded solemnly. Although he is a member of the Star God Palace, he is also a three-layered mirror of the Emperor, but he dare not be careless in the face of Wen Zishan, the master of the palace. Without waiting for Xiao Yuyang to speak again, Wen Zishan hurriedly said, "Brother Xiao came just in time for a happy event in my temple. Brother Xiao must be a guest of my temple for a few days." "Happy event?" Xiao Yuyang frowned. "What happy event?" Wen Zishan said, "That's how it is. My temple plans to appoint an elder after 5 days. If Brother Xiao doesn't give up, he will stay and have a wedding wine." Xiao Yuyang narrowed his eyes when he heard the words, and said lightly, "Master Wen, as far as I know, among the core disciples of the noble sect, Sha Sheng has long been promoted to Emperor Zun, and has already taken the position of elder, and the others are all in retreat, will not leave the customs in a short time. The person you want to confer is the person I thought of, right?" Wen Zishan asked suspiciously, "Oh, who did Brother Xiao think of?" Xiao Yuyang paused word by word, "Yang Kai." Wen Zishan was surprised. Brother Xiao is really clever, he can even guess this, admiration. Xiao Yuyang shouted angrily, "Master Wen." Seeing him pretending to be confused while pretending to understand, Xiao Yuyang was furious. Wen Zishan chuckled, and said, "Brother Xiao must have guessed this a long time ago, so he came to congratulate in advance, right? That's really intentional." The veins on Xiao Yuyang's forehead twitched, and he said in a deep voice, "Brother Wen, you and I have known each other for many years, Xiao Mo advises you, don't set yourself on fire." Wen Zishan couldn't help squinting his eyes and said, "Brother Xiao, I don't understand what you said, my temple is only canonizing an elder, how could it cause fire?" Xiao Yuyang stared at Wen Zishan and said, "That kid killed Tan Junhao and Wu Ming, and Palace Master Wen doesn't know about it." Wen Zishan was shocked. "Impossible. Tan Junhao is a three-layer mirror of Emperor Senior, Wu Ming also has a second-level Emperor Senior, and Yang Kai is not a first-layer Emperor Senior. How can he kill them? This is absolutely impossible, isn't it? What went wrong?" Xiao Yuyang sneered. "More than 20 emperors from the major sects in the southern region jointly identified it. Can this matter be false? Your support is my greatest motivation." Mobile phone users, please go to read. Open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. Chapter 2767 Canonization Ceremony. Phone reading. Wen Zishan said, "But I don't know what else the 20-odd Emperor Senior realm have identified." Xiao Yuyang frowned slightly, and said quietly, "For a moment, Tan Junhao used the technique of GU insects to control them to become enemies with Yang Kai, but unfortunately, he was killed by Yang Kai after all the tricks were exhausted. www.vodtao.com. Tan Junhao acted in such a despicable manner and ruined the reputation of the Divine Palace. It is really not a pity to die." Wen Zishan looked serious, looked at Xiao Yuyang and said, "In this way, Yang Kai can also be regarded as clearing the door for the Star God Palace. Gong Li should be grateful to him. Brother Xiao is just thanking Yang Kai for this trip. If it is so big, it is unnecessary. Elder Yang's move can be regarded as eliminating harm for the people, the duty of a chivalrous man. Shen Gong is too polite." Xiao Yuyang exhaled softly, and said in a deep voice, "Master Wen, Tan Junhao is an elder of the Jinggu Palace, and even a three-layer mirror of the Emperor. His death is not a trivial matter, it is related to the face of the Jinggu Palace." Wen Zishan smiled slightly, and said, "Of course it's a big deal, but the testimony of more than 20 emperors can't explain anything." Xiao Yuyang shook his head and said, "Yang Kai is afraid that he will have to go back to the Divine Palace with me." Wen Zishan showed a look of embarrassment, and said, "Even if it is not possible, Yang Kai is now considered the elder of my temple, and the canonization ceremony will be held in a few days. If he is taken away by you, wouldn't my temple make people laugh at me? The face of the shrine is face, and the face of my shrine is also face." Xiao Yuyang said. Master Wen also said that the canonization ceremony was a few days later, and now Yang Kai is not considered an elder of Qingyang Temple. "Who said that?" Wen Zishan grinned, turned around and said, "Xiao Qianchen." Without saying a word, Chen Qian raised her hand and shot out hundreds of talismans, which turned into streamers of light, flying in all directions, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. She cupped her fists and said, "Master, the canonization ceremony will be held in 5 days. Tell the many sect families in the southern region about this matter. Wen Zishan nodded slightly. Xiao Yuyong's face darkened, and he said, Wen Zishan, do you know what the consequences of this move will be? Wen Zishan's face also instantly became solemn. Calmly said, Yang Kai is a member of my temple, even if the temple wants to take it away, it must be approved by my temple. Xiao Yuyong sighed softly, also raised his hand and typed out a talisman message, and said lightly, I have reported this matter to the emperor, and the emperor will make his own decision on how to deal with it. Wen Zishan made it clear that he would protect Yang Kai with the power of the sect. Even if he broke his face with Wen Zishan, he might not be able to snatch Yang Kai away. We can only report this matter and wait for the news. Wen Zishan's expression finally changed, but he still smiled and said, the emperor is wise, and he will give a fair solution. The visitor is a guest, Brother Xiao, why don't you stay in my temple for a few days? That's good, then I'll bother you. Xiao Yuyong nodded slightly. Please. In the side hall of the purple bamboo peak, accompanied by a crackling sound, the jet black dragon armor was draped around his body, and Yang Kaiping added a mighty wind. After Jin Shenglong's origin appeared intimidating for a while, Yang Kai found that refining the Feihong black dragon armor is surprisingly simple, and it is easier to refine than ordinary source-level secret treasures. Now that the treasure armor is worn, it fits extremely well and is extremely scalable. You won't worry about being broken. The only thing that makes Yang Kai feel a little dissatisfied is that the waist of this treasure armor has a lot of defects, and the Emperor-level middle-grade secret treasure has dropped a notch, and it can only display the power of the Emperor-level low-grade. Also enough, Yang Kai didn't buy this treasure armor for its defensive power, but for something that can swell up and cover the body after the dragon transforms. Whether it is the Emperor-level middle rank or the Emperor-level low rank, Yang Kai doesn't care about it. What a difference! However, the shape of this treasure armor still makes Yang Kai very satisfied. Even when worn close to the body, it is as light as nothing, and after covering it with a layer of clothing, nothing can be seen at all. After inspecting for a while, Yang Kai sat down cross-legged again and continued refining the Feihong black dragon armor. Although Zizhu Peak is full of aura, it is located in a remote place, and few people come here. Gao Shueding came back several times. But seeing that Yang Kai has been retreating, he didn't bother. In a flash, it was 5 days. In the early morning, Gao Shueding opened the door and entered, startling Yang Kai. Looking up, I saw that under Gao Shueding's instigation, a group of 4 or 5 women filed in. Judging by the clothes these women wore, they should be disciples of Qingyang Temple. Get up, Gao Shueding greeted Yang Kai. Yang Kai stood up and asked suspiciously, what is this? Gao Shueding gestured to the female disciples while explaining to Yang Kai, take care of it for you, today is your big day. Yang Kai sneered and said, it sounds like I'm getting married. Seeing Gao Shueding's face was cold, she suppressed her smile and obediently obeyed Gao Shueding's arrangement. Sitting on the chair next to him, a female disciple came up behind him and combed Yang Kai's hair gently, and another female disciple squatted in front of him, carefully tidying up the beard on his chin. Gao Shueding stood aside, explaining to Yang Kai the process of today's canonization and many precautions. Yang Kai wondered, it's not the elder Kei Qing, how did you make such a big battle? He thought that it would be enough to just have a casual scene, but looking at this posture, something seemed wrong. Don't worry about it, anyway, just cooperate honestly. Gao Shueding warned. Yang Kai snorted, sat there obediently, closed his eyes to rest his mind, and remembered Gao Shueding's words in his heart. A few female disciples surrounded Yang Kai to serve them, and they looked at him secretly from time to time, all a little amazed that the temple suddenly wanted to enshrine an elder, and they were also very surprised as disciples, especially when they heard that this newly promoted elder Shi is about the same age as senior brother Sha Sheng, so she is even more curious. After all, Sha Sheng's reputation in the temple is not ordinary, and I don't know how many female disciples fall in love with him. Looking at Yang Kai now, it seems that he is no worse than Sha Sheng, and even more heroic. Serving at close range, the female disciples who engaged in it felt like a deer colliding with each other, daydreaming endlessly. After tossing for a full hour, after dismissing a few female disciples, Gao Shueding asked Yang Kai to stand up and turn around a few times, and then nodded slightly after looking at it for a while. Yang Kai, who was wearing a purple robe, lacked a bit of youthful vigor, but was more composed, which made him look like an elder. Let's go. Gao Shueding waved her hand and flew forward first, followed by Yang Kai. Originally wanted to tell Yang Kai not to be too nervous, but under the investigation of spiritual mind, he found that Yang Kai's face was calm and calm, there was no nervous expression at all, so Gao Shueding didn't bother to tell him. Knowing that Yang Kai has seen many big scenes in these years, although the canonization ceremony is impressive, it is not enough to shake his mind. Above the Wansheng Peak, there was a flood of people. Guests from all parties were arranged on both sides of the square, sitting in attendance according to their identities and cultivation levels. There were not many people, only more than 200 people, but these 200 people almost represented the sect forces in the entire southern region. Many disciples of the Qingyang Temple were busy shuttling and running between the various seats, constantly pouring wine and pouring water, presenting delicious delicacies, immortal pulp and jade liquid, and the acquainted emperors exchanged glasses, lively extraordinary. It is a rare scene where so many powerful people gather together, that is, when Sha Sheng was canonized as the elder of the temple, it was not such a big show, but afterwards, the temple sent a message to the good forces to inform the matter, that's all. But when it's Yang Kai's turn, everyone in the south region knows that it's because of the rush of time, otherwise there will be more guests here. Xiao Yuyang and Xiao Chen sat at the same table, at the head of the table, as the elders of the Star God Palace, and even at the third level of Emperor Zun. Naturally, some people came to toast, but Xiao Yuyang closed his eyes after dealing with a few people casually, letting the rest the people are also embarrassed to go there again. No one dared to criticize. Suddenly, there were 3 beeps of gongs and drums, and the whole place fell silent, and the guests who were shuttled back and forth also quickly took their seats. A pair of eyes looked in one direction. Over there, 2 teams of warriors galloped over, 1 team of men and 1 team of women. The men were all handsome and majestic, while the women had picturesque features, elegant and refined, and they were all dressed in pure white clothes. His cultivation base is pure and vigorous. 2 teams of men and women opened the way, and a beautiful building boat galloped from behind. On the deck, Yang Kai stood on the bow, the headwind was blowing, his long hair was flying, and there was a sense of relying on the wind. Gao Shueding stood not far behind Yang Kai, looked solemn. When it landed on the top of the 10,000 Saints Peak, the 2 teams of men and women immediately scattered on both sides, the building boat stopped, and Yang Kai and Gao Shueding flew down together. In an instant, countless pairs of eyes looked at Yang Kai, all looking at him curiously. A guy named Yang Kai killed the elders and deacons of the Star God Palace. This matter has been rumored in the southern region in recent days. People who didn't know it now know it, and this person is today's Qingyang Temple, the protagonist of the canonization ceremony. People who don't know Yang Kai are naturally curious, what kind of audacious guy is, who dares to attack the elders of the Star God Palace. After a glance, he found that Yang Kai was only at the first level of Emperor Senior, and he couldn't help showing a disappointed expression. He secretly felt that the rumors were wrong. How could such a cultivation base kill Tan Junhao? I'm afraid he won't be able to catch even one move from Tan Junhao. Some even looked cautiously at Xiao Yuyang. Xiao Yuyang is now an elder of the Star God Palace. Everyone was naturally curious about how he would react after seeing Yang Kai, but to everyone's disappointment, Xiao Yuyang still closed his eyes and said nothing. Send. What is Qingyang Temple doing? Isn't it uncomfortable to designate a guy who killed the elder of the Star God Palace as an elder? Many people can't figure it out. The process of the canonization ceremony is actually not complicated. After all, everyone is a martial artist, and there are not so many red tapes. Under the guidance of Gao Shueding, Yang Kai walked forward step by step, ignoring the curious eyes on both sides. Walk up to Wen Zishan. With a smile on his face, Wen Zishan stretched out a finger, and pointed it on the top of Yang Kai's head. He raised his breath and spoke, one by one, announcing Yang Kai's rights and needs after he became the elder of Qingyang Temple. Obligation to perform. To be continued. This book comes from Pin and Shu Hash Wang. Chapter 2768 Shui Zhengmao. Phone reading. After half an hour, Wen Zishan finished reading, retracted his hand and looked at Yang Kai and said, "Do you remember what I said?" Yang Kai replied solemnly, "Remember." Very good. Wen Zishan nodded in satisfaction, and stretched out her hand to signal to the back. Chen Qian, who was standing on Wen Zishan and stretched out her hand, immediately held something and handed it to Wen Zishan. Take this elder jade plate, Yang Kai, you will be the elder of my Qingyang Temple from now on, and you will advance and retreat with the temple, and live and die together. Follow the order of the palace master. Yang Kai raised his hands, took the elder jade plate, and immediately returned the previous Qingyang golden token to Wen Zishan. From this moment, Yang Kai is the elder of Qingyang Temple. The jade plate is not big, but also very light, but Yang Kai feels heavy in the palm of his hand. The heavy is the elders of Qingyang Temple, and shelter. Jiishan. Wen Zishan waved his hand and shouted in a deep voice. Roar. A beast's roar resounded through the sky. Following the sound of the beast's roar, I saw Chu Ran Yukong coming from the other side, holding a cage in his hand, and a majestic beast was imprisoned in that cage. The ferocious beast is an ape-shaped monster with a golden back, like cast iron. Even if it is locked in a cage, the restraining power in its body still exudes a monstrous hostility, and it constantly hits it with its body. Holding the cage, but still unable to escape, roaring again and again. Golden-backed Tongtian ape, someone exclaimed. On the square, the expressions of many people in the Emperor Senior realm changed. Canonization of the elders. This sacrifice to heaven is the last ceremony, and it is also a bridge for the newly promoted elders to show a little or two of magical powers in the public, so that everyone can see the strength of the newly promoted elders. Generally speaking, the monster selected in this link is neither strong nor weak. If it is too strong, it will make people laugh if it fails to succeed. If it is too weak, it will not be able to show the ability of the newly promoted elder. It is really surprising that the Qingyang Temple chose such a vicious monster as the golden-backed Tongtian ape this time. Although the golden-backed Tongtian ape is a 12th level low-grade monster, which is only equivalent to a 1st level Emperor Senior, but if it really encounters such a monster, the 1st level Emperor Senior will basically have to run away. Because this monster's defensive power is extremely amazing, and its recovery power is also very strong. If the idle Emperor Senior level wants to kill it, he must desperately try his best, and he may not be able to succeed. No matter how Yang Kai looked at it, he was only at the 1st level of Emperor Senior. If he really faced this golden-backed sky-reaching ape, would he be able to successfully complete this heaven-sacrificing link? Many people muttered in their hearts. I'm afraid that Yang Kai's mistake will make Qingyang Temple make a joke, and the matter will not end. However, some people secretly speculate. This monster beast should be limited in strength so that Yang Kai can easily kill it. Just when everyone was suspicious, Wen Zishan slightly nodded at Chu Ran. Chu Ran pinched out a few seals from his hands, and immediately removed the cage that imprisoned the golden-backed Tongtian ape, and the light flashed, even the restraining power was released opened. Roar! An increasingly terrifying and fierce aura erupted, and once he escaped from the trap, the golden-backed ape entered the forest like a tiger. Long Yu Hai, his breath soared, his fists hammered his chest, making a thumping sound, and his red eyes swept around. Many people looked shocked and terrified in their hearts. The golden-backed Tongtian ape completely lost his restraint, and was furious. I'm afraid it will perform supernormally. It is impossible to be an opponent at the 1st level of Emperor Zun now, only the 2nd level of Emperor Zun can suppress one or two. What is Qingyang Temple doing? Wen Zishan is a shrewd man, why is he so confused at this moment? Something went wrong in the part of offering sacrifices to heaven. Wouldn't this be ridiculed by the people of the world? With a flash of sword light, Yang Kai was already floating in the air. It was on Zizhu Peak before. Gao Shueding explained all the links to him clearly, and he knew what to do in this part of offering sacrifices to the sky. He didn't pay attention to a mere 12th rank low-grade monster. Unleashed a million swords, pointed at the golden-backed Tongtian ape, and locked his murderous intentions on this monster. It seems to have sensed it, and was shocked by Yang Kai's murderous intent. The golden-backed Tongtian ape immediately looked back, with monster aura rolling all over his body. He rushed towards Yang Kai with a roar, trying to tear Yang Kai into pieces. At this moment, a sudden change occurred, and a stream of light suddenly shot from a distance, as fast as lightning, piercing through the body of the golden-backed sky-reaching ape, and rushed directly in front of Yang Kai. Hu! Wen Zishan yelled, but it was too late to rescue him. Hearing the crisp sound of jingling, the million sword in Yang Kai's hand flashed with light, and his figure retreating a full 30 feet before he stabilized his figure. His face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It wasn't until this time that Wen Zishan stood in front of the streamer, and Gao Shueding also came to Yang Kai's side in an instant, blocking him behind her, her beautiful eyes staring at the coming person vigilantly. Bump! With a muffled sound, the golden-backed Tongtian ape, who was still fierce just a moment ago, exploded into a cloud of blood mist, dripping in the air, leaving no bones left. Everyone was dumbfounded, and got up together. No one expected that someone would come out to make trouble during the last ceremony of offering sacrifices to heaven, and they would kill the objects for offering sacrifices to heaven at once. Not only that, but also hurt today's grand ceremony. Protagonist. This is slapping Qingyang Temple in the face in public. How can this be tolerated? However, being able to turn the 12th order monster golden back Tongtian ape into a blood mist with one blow is shocking enough. With so many Emperor Senior Realm present, there are definitely no more than 3 people who can do this. Who dares to be so arrogant? Looking at it with fixed eyes, everyone couldn't help being stunned, revealing a look of suddenness, faintly feeling that today's canonization ceremony might not be able to be completed. Elder Shui. Wen Zishan stared at the visitor with narrowed eyes, his tone was low and his face was a little ugly. The person who came was Shui Zhengmao, the elder of Xingshan Palace, which he did not expect. After all, Xiao Yuyang is already here, and he is also an elder of Xingshan Palace, one is enough. What is Shui Zhengmao doing here again? Moreover, he made trouble as soon as he came, and on this occasion, he didn't give Qingyang Temple any face. While speaking, he glanced towards Xiao Yuyang, but Xiao Yuyang frowned slightly, as if he didn't know anything about it. Palace Master Wen, Shui Zhengmao replied indifferently, his eyes passed Wen Zishan, landed on Yang Kai, and said, "You are Yang Kai." After receiving the old man's blow, there is nothing wrong with it, so forget it, but let's go with the old man first. While speaking, he reached out and grabbed Yang Kai. Wen Zishan got angry, raised his hand and slapped Shui Zhengmao. Bold. When Shui Zhengmao shouted sharply, he turned his claws into palms and fought against Wen Zishan. The air wave swept across and the void collapsed. Both sides retreated 3 steps, and they were evenly matched. Elder Shui, I respect you as a guest, but you want to arrest the elders of my temple as soon as you come, isn't it unreasonable? Wen Zishan snorted coldly. Shui Zhengmao said, your temple elder. Wen Zishan, you are going back as you live, don't you know how much trouble this kid has caused? How dare you protect him? You want to set the Qingyang Temple's foundation in, don't you care? I don't know what disaster Elder Yang has caused to make Elder Shui so angry. I still need to ask for advice. Wen Zishan did not back down. I don't argue with you, I have to take this Yang Kai away today. Shui Zhengmao snorted coldly, with a tough attitude, turned to look at Xiao Yuyang and said, Elder Xiao, what do you say? As soon as these words came out, Wen Zishan's complexion changed slightly. Although he is a 3-layer mirror of Emperor Senior, he can only deal with a person of the same level of cultivation. If Xiao Yuyang also thinks like Shui Zhengmao, then Yang Kai may be doomed today, even if all Emperor Senior realm of Qingyang Temple are dispatched together can't keep people. Xiao Yuyang frowned, and said, 5 days ago, I reported this matter to the Emperor, and I am waiting for the Emperor's ruling. Wen Zishan breathed a sigh of relief immediately. It was a good thing for him that Xiao Yuyang did not intervene, and he was not afraid of Shui Zhengmao alone. Shui Zhengmao didn't get the answer he wanted, and seemed to have some opinions on Xiao Yuyang, but everyone is the elder of the Star God Palace, and no one is better than the other. Wen Zishan said, Master Wen, the canonization ceremony has not been completed yet. This son of Yang Kai is not considered an elder of your temple. If you hand it over to the old man and let me take it away, it will only be good for your temple, and there will be no harm at all. Wen Zishan shook his head and said, although the ceremony is not completed, but Yang Kai has received the elder jade plate, who dares to say that he is not the elder of the temple? You are so obsessed with obsession, do you have to wait until the emperor gets angry before bowing your head? Shui Zhengmao shouted angrily. Wen Zishan chuckled and said, the emperor is wise and mighty, how could he get angry because of this kind of thing? Maybe he will reward Elder Yang for cleaning up the palace. You are presumptuous. Shui Zhengmao's face was livid. Wen Zishan said coldly, I want to take Elder Yang away, and I have passed this level. You think I really dare not attack you? Shui Zhengmao gritted his teeth and shouted. Didn't you shoot before? Wen Zishan confronted. These two emperors own 3-layered mirrors, you say a word to each other, without giving in to each other. Seeing the anger getting more and more intense, it seems that they may fight at any time, which made the guests present tremble with fear and sweat profusely. If these two fight, it will be lively, but maybe I and others will be affected by it. No one wants to see this happen. Calm down, both of you. Both of you are the mainstays of the Southern Territory. If you look up and see you, why do you have to do that? Feng Ming from Wuhua Palace stood up and persuaded. Yeah, don't get angry, you two, sit down and have a cup of tea first. Zhang Yuan, the vice president of the Qiao Chamber of Commerce, also got up and said. Chen Wenhao from Tianwu Holy Land said in a deep voice, Didn't Elder Shao just say that he is waiting for the Emperor's ruling, and 5 days have passed, and it will not be long before the Emperor's order will be issued, so why is Elder Shui in such a hurry? Shui Zhenwu frowned, pondered for a moment and then said, okay, then I will wait here for the Emperor's order. I want to see how Wen Zishan, can keep that kid. While speaking, he glared at Xiao Yuyang. He was also very annoyed by today's incident. He thought that if he came forward, Yang Kai would definitely be arrested, but he didn't expect Wen Zishan to be so shameless, and more importantly, he didn't even know that Xiao Yuyang had reported this matter to the great emperor. If he had known earlier, how could such a thing have happened? Anyway, the emperor's order will be issued soon. With the emperor's order, how dare Wen Zishan resist? To be continued. This book comes from Pin and Shu Hash Wang. Chapter 2769 Reciprocity. Chapter 2769 Reciprocity. Novel. The Peak of Martial Arts author. Momo word count. 3051 update time. The 20th of February 2016 7:33. Come on, let's sit. Wen Zishan waved his hand, and his heart was relieved. In any case, it would be good if he could hold Shui Zhenwu. Not busy. Yang Kai, who had been silent all this time, suddenly said. Wen Zishan looked at him in astonishment. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Yang Kai said, dare to ask the palace master, is there any backup for this heaven-worshipping beast? Wen Zishan shook his head with a wry smile. It is not so easy to find a 12th level monster, otherwise the 12th level inner alchemy would not be so expensive, especially now that time is running out. Where can I find another one? The golden-backed Tongtian ape that appeared before was captured by Wen Zishan himself from a barren mountain thousands of miles away. It's a pity that Shui Zhenwu killed Yang Kai before he could make a move, and now this canonization ceremony can't be finished, which is very embarrassing. Yang Kai lowered his eyebrows and said, since there is no backup, then we can only offend. Wen Zishan's heart skipped a beat, and he subconsciously asked, what are you going to do? Before he finished speaking, he suddenly saw Yang Kai's figure move, and suddenly disappeared in place. Wen Zishan's complexion changed drastically. He vaguely guessed Yang Kai's intention, turned his head and looked towards Shui Zhenwu, and sure enough, he saw Yang Kai's figure suddenly appearing in front of Shui Zhenwu, and he slashed at him with a sword. The sword edge above, the terrifying sword light that was 30 feet long seemed to shatter the void. Shui Zhenwu was also taken aback. He raised his hand and slapped it. When the majestic Emperor Yuan surged, the wind rose and the clouds moved, the sword glow shattered, and Shui Zhenwu's figure flickered. Zhu Zi dares to sneak attack on this old man. Shui Zhenwu shouted, his nose twisted in anger. He is a 3-layer mirror of Emperor Zun and an elder of Star God Palace. How could this young man sneak up on him without saying a word? It's also fortunate that he reacted quickly enough, otherwise I'm afraid he would really suffer a bit. But no matter what, Shui Zhenwu couldn't hold back his face when he was attacked in public, and his anger surged up. It's just reciprocity. Yang Kai sneered, abandoning the sword. His hands quickly formed seals. The power of time permeated leisurely, and the law of time was ups and downs. Everyone felt an unreal feeling at this moment, as if time had stopped as time went by, even that thinking paused for a moment. At the same time as the print of time is like a shuttle, a golden light shines in the right eye, and a lotus flower that is about to bloom flashes away. Shui Zhenwu froze in rage, a pain came from his mind, and a huge lotus blossomed in front of him. I was terrified in my heart. How could I accidentally fall into Yang Kai's way? It's just that the power of this soul secret technique seems to be surprisingly great. Is this a soul secret technique that can be displayed at the first level of Emperor Senior? Biting the tip of his tongue, the tingling sensation woke him up for a moment, and he fully mobilized his soul power to resist the influence of the lotus-growing secret technique. His eyes regained his clarity, and the huge blooming lotus flower disappeared. When he raised his eyes, his body was covered in cold sweat. Such a momentary delay, Yang Kai's palm print was about to hit his chest. Although he didn't know the mystery of this palm, it gave him an extremely uneasy feeling. He wanted to resist, but found that his thinking became extremely slow, and even his own movements were not so coherent. When he burst out drinking, the aura of Emperor Zun's 3-layered mirror powerhouse exploded, and before he could make any further moves, that palm had already landed on his chest. The newly recovered body and mind once again stagnated for a short time. At the same time, Shui Zhenwu's rebellious blow also hit Yang Kai's chest. Visible to the naked eye, a large piece of Yang Kai's chest was sunken, and the sound of bone breaking was clearly heard, making his face suddenly pale. But he resisted, not making a sound, grabbed the floating million sword, and the horizontal sword cut towards Shui Jungmao's chest. Laugh. The sword light flashed down, and Yang Kai returned to his original position when his figure swayed, his body swayed slightly, and his face was as pale as paper. With a thud, he forcibly swallowed the blood rolling in his chest, and a trace of abnormal rosiness appeared on his face. This action was dizzying, and there was interference from the law of time, so it wasn't until Yang Kai hurried back that everyone came back to their senses. All of them looked at Yang Kai with inexplicable expressions of horror. His expression was like seeing a ghost. Even Wen Zishan had a shocked look on his face, and Xiao Yuyang suddenly got up, his eyes full of disbelief. "I sacrifice the blood of the enemy to the blue sky." When Yang Kai shouted, the million swords swung, and a puff of blood mist suddenly exploded on the million swords, filling the vast void. Licheng. Laugh. At the same time, blood spewed out from Shui Jungmao's chest. Everyone turned their heads to look, and suddenly gasped, only to see a wound about a foot long on Shui Jungmao's chest. DC. Shui Jungmao seemed to be in disbelief, that he was actually injured by a first-level emperor. The whole person was completely stunned there, staring blankly at the blood splattered on his chest. After a while, he shook his body, stretched out his hand to touch his chest, stopped the flow of blood, glared at Yang Kai with red eyes, gritted his teeth and shouted, "I want to die." It's a shame to be wounded by an emperor senior first-level continuous attack. It's a shame. Although there is a side of underestimating the enemy, it cannot be denied that this kid named Yang Kai is indeed a little bit amazing. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to get hurt no matter how much he underestimated the enemy at the emperor's senior level next to him. It's just that at this moment, in front of so many emperors in the southern territory, how can Shui Jungmao's old face hold up? The murderous thoughts were like a tide, and the murderous intent was clear. Shui Jungmao was really angry. Wen Zishan stopped Shui Jungmao in a timely manner. Although he was also shocked that Yang Kai could hurt Shui Jungmao in an instant, he also knew that Yang Kai had paid a lot. Shui Jungmao's counterattack definitely hurt Yang Kai's inner palace, and Yang Kai seemed to have used several times before. This kind of powerful secret technique took a surprise to achieve this. If Yang Kai and Shui Jungmao were to fight alone, Wen Zishan didn't think Yang Kai had any hope of victory. "Go away," Shui Jungmao shouted, completely crazy. Wen Zishan said, "Elder Shui, you were the one who attacked first, and Elder Yang just retaliated against him in his own way. As a senior, Elder Shui wouldn't be so stingy." Shui Jungmao's face darkened, and he immediately remembered what Yang Kai said earlier, reciprocity is a courtesy. The fact is indeed the case. When he arrived, he sneaked up on Yang Kai without saying a word. Could it be that others are not allowed to sneak up on him? But this matter must not end like this. I can't swallow my breath in my chest. Turning his head, staring at the side, Shui Jungmao said in a concentrated voice, "Elder Xiao." Xiao Yuyang sighed, took a few steps, and came to Shui Jungmao's side in an instant. When things got to this point, he could no longer sit on the sidelines if he wanted to. It was not only about Shui Jungmao's own face, but also about the face of Xingshan Palace, so he had to stand with Shui Jungmao. "Tangle Wen Zishan, I want that kid to die," Shui Jungmao said via voice transmission. Xiao Yuyang replied, "It's okay to entangle Wen Zishan, but you can't kill that kid. You underestimate the old man." Shui Jungmao's chest was full of anger, like a brewing volcano, which could erupt at any time. It was just the old man's carelessness. "It's not underestimated. That kid is proficient in space magic. Without a perfect arrangement, no one can take him down. Space, supernatural powers." Shui Jungmao shrank his eyes, feeling a sense of powerlessness in his heart. As an elder of Xingshan Palace, he is no stranger to the four-word space supernatural powers. Back then, a guy named Li Wuyi offended Emperor Hua Ying, was chased and killed by Emperor Hua Ying, and finally escaped from birth. It is space supernatural powers. Later, Emperor Beast Wu came forward to intercede, which made Emperor Hua Ying let it go. Until now, Li Wuyi is living well and is happy on Spirit Beast Island. If Yang Kai is really proficient in space magic, Shui Jungmao really has nothing to do with him. Shui Jungmao frowned tightly, a little bit hard to get off. The elders of the two star god palaces stood side by side, everyone's expressions changed. Wen Zishan's expression was also unprecedentedly solemn, and the many emperors in Qingyang Temple surrounded Yang Kai tightly, with a look of wariness on his face. No one expected that a canonization ceremony would turn out like this. Elder Shui, Elder Shao, are you determined to do this? Wen Zishan said in a low voice, although my temple is not as good as the Xingshan Palace, it is not a soft persimmon that you need at will. Xiao Yuyang didn't say a word, Shui Zhengmao didn't speak either, but stared at Yang Kai angrily. The other guests who came to watch the ceremony were all worried, for fear that the two sides would really fight like this. Once the Star God Palace and the Qingyang Temple are torn apart, the entire southern region may be in turmoil for a while, and it will be of no benefit to anyone. A depressive and tense atmosphere spread throughout the audience, and the younger generations brought by the emperors were all sweaty and pale. Stop. Far away, there was a soft drink, the voice was clear and sweet, and it seemed to have a kind of magical power, which made people's tense nerves relax inexplicably. The moment he heard this voice, Xiao Chen, who was staring at Yang Kai with a complicated gaze, suddenly woke up, and immediately looked aside with bright eyes. I saw a colored ribbon coming from out of thin air over there, and a woman with picturesque eyebrows and a beautiful country was standing on the ribbon, with a little cinnabar in the center of her eyebrows, her black hair was combed into a double moon bun, and a few strands of long hair hung down. In front of her chest, she was wearing a goose yellow long dress, which made her look even more elegant and refined. With a little more jade, she fell lightly on the Wansheng peak. Princess! Xiao Chen exclaimed in surprise. Hearing Xiao Chen's shout, how could everyone not know the identity of the person? Shocked, they all stood up together, clasped their fists together and said, I've seen Princess Lan Xuan. The older generation of Emperor Senior Realm people are okay, their Xinxing cultivation base is there, even though Lan Xuan is beautiful, it is only a glimpse, but those young people who came to watch the ceremony with the elders, no matter men or women, are all looking at Lan Xuan obsessively, especially those men, all of them showed admiration, and there was nothing else in their eyes, only Lan Xuan was left with dazzling brilliance and captivating hearts. To be continued. Chapter 2770. Stop here. This is the daughter of the great emperor, not to mention the shy flower she was born with, which is enough to make any man's heart flutter. No matter how ugly she is, if she can get her favor, I'm afraid it will take hundreds of years of struggle. This situation made Xiao Chen's face suddenly darken, he hummed softly, and took the initiative to greet Lan Xuan. When he got closer, he showed a gentle smile and said softly, Princess, why are you here? Lan Xuan nodded at him lightly, as a greeting, and then his expression became serious, and his red lips parted lightly. By the order of the great emperor, pass on the words of the great emperor. When everyone heard the words, all of them had serious expressions. Although there are 10 great emperors in this world, the Emperor Lan Xuan mentioned is undoubtedly the lord of the Star God Palace, Emperor Mingyu, and he is also the god of Dinghai in the entire southern region. Just like Emperor Miaodan is respected in the northern region, Emperor Mingyu is also an existence that everyone admires in the southern region. All welcome the emperor's decree. Wen Zishan shouted with a solemn expression. Many guests also looked serious and listened attentively. Lan Xuan said, this is not a place to talk, please ask Uncle Wen to prepare a secret room. This obviously means that there are many people in this place, but the guests who came here to watch the ceremony dare not have the slightest dissatisfaction. To a certain extent, the current Lan Xuan represents Emperor Mingyu, who dares to show disrespect. This way please. Wen Zishan turned sideways and motioned back. Lan Xuan nodded slightly, and took the lead towards the palace in front of him. When he passed by Yang Kai's side, he paused and turned his head. Senior brother Yang, come here. Yang Kai pondered for a moment, then stepped forward to keep up. Lan Xuan will appear here, it is definitely related to him, if he is the person in the past, he must be in the past. Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao looked at each other, and followed behind Lan Xuan. Xiao Chen, the flower protector, naturally did not fall behind. Not long after, a group of people entered the hall. Wen Zishan waved his hand, and the door closed immediately. Lan Xuan walked up to the high platform of the hall, then turned around, looked down, and saw the 3 emperors with 3 layers of mirrors, Yang Kai and Xiao Chen, 2 juniors standing clearly on both sides. With a smile on his face, Lan Xuan looked at Yang Kai and said, congratulations to senior brother Yang first, after today we will be the elders of Qingyang Temple. As soon as these words came out, both Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao frowned. The information revealed by these words made them vaguely aware of something. Yang Kai Dao. His Royal Highness is polite. Lan Xuan said angrily. Senior brother Yang, what are you doing seeing people like this? I love sister Xiaoqi as sisters, you treat Xiaoqi like a brother, just call me Lan Xuan. He dares. Xiao Chen immediately widened his eyes. How can such an intimate title be enjoyed by any man? He and Lan Xuan grew up together, and up to now they only called her that in private, and they still maintained a distinction between respect and inferiority when there were outsiders. Since Lan Xuan said so, then I won't be pretentious, and congratulations on your promotion to Emperor Senior. Yang Kai glanced at Xiao Chen as he spoke, which almost made his lungs explode. On the contrary, the three emperors present at the third level were all taken aback. One was Lan Xuan's attitude towards Yang Kai, and the other was the words that Lan Xuan said, which made Lan Xuan say that he was a sister. Not an ordinary existence. Xiao Qi, Xiao Yuyang murmured, could it be the girl from Spirit Beast Island? Shui Zhenwu and Wen Zishan suddenly came back to their senses, and Qi Qi looked at Yang Kai in surprise, as if they didn't expect Yang Kai to have a relationship with the princess on Spirit Beast Island, and listening to Lan Xuan's words, this is not general relationship. It's the girl from Spirit Beast Island. Lan Xuan covered her mouth and smiled, I'm afraid you don't know, little sister Xiaoqi and senior brother Yang are very close friends. I inquired about senior brother Yang's news, but unfortunately, senior brother Yang's dragon has been out of sight, and I have nothing to say, which made her very disappointed. Based on the relationship between Mo Xiaoqi and Lan Xuan, even if he knew the news about Yang Kai, he probably wouldn't tell her. What Lan Xuan said was plain, but it set off a storm in the hearts of several emperors. Mo Xiaoqi herself is nothing, but the person above her head can't be ignored casually. He is an existence that can stand shoulder to shoulder with Emperor Mingyu. Yang Kai and Mo Xiaoqi's friendship is so good, it's like climbing up the towering chalk tree of Spirit Beast Island. If you want to move him, you have to weigh it carefully. Emperor Mingyu loves Lan Xuan very much, and Emperor Beast Wu loves Mo Xiaoqi very much. If his maid blows in her ears, even the emperor's ears will soften. At this moment, Shui Zhenwu couldn't help but feel a little rejoicing. Fortunately, he didn't do anything to Yang Kai before, otherwise he might not be able to end it. Only the emperor can deal with Tan Junhao's matter. With a move in his heart, Shui Zhenwu said, Princess, what instructions does the emperor have? Although I have some vague guesses, I still have to ask a question. Wen Zishan and Xiao Yuyang also looked up at Lan Xuan. Lan Xuan looked serious, and said, as the elder of the Star God Palace, Tan Junhao not only failed to become a model for hundreds of millions of warriors in the southern region, but instead acted perversely, killing the emperor of the southern region. Wu Ming was a minion of a tiger, and helped the tyrant to do evil. The emperor has already investigated this matter. It is clear that the death of these two people is not a pity. The emperor ordered that the matter of Tan Junhao and Wu Ming stop here, and no one should suffer any further twists and turns. After the words fell, Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhenwu both clasped their fists and bowed, I will obey the emperor's decree. Wen Zishan grinned, cupped his fists and said, the emperor is wise, the emperor is martial. Yang Kai also said, thank you, great emperor. The heart is also completely relieved. The person who can become the great emperor is really broad-minded. With the order of the great emperor, Yang Kai does not need to worry about anything in the future. However, logically speaking, since Yang Kai killed Tan Junhao and Wu Ming, the Star God Palace should also be grateful to him for cleaning up the door, but these are small details. After all, the Star God Palace is the overlord of the Southern Territory, and its elders and deacons were killed. Although there is a reason for the incident, it is magnanimous not to pursue it. How could it be possible to be grateful? There is another matter. My father entrusted me to discuss with senior brother Yang. Lan Xuan turned his eyes and fixed on Yang Kai. Everyone keenly grasped the change in the address of the emperor in her words. Since Lan Xuan's arrival, he has always referred to him as the great emperor, but just now it has become the word, father. In other words, the next thing to be discussed is not in the capacity of the great emperor. What do you dare to ask? Yang Kai asked. Lan Xuan said, father wants to know, where is Tan Junhao's golden armor book now? As soon as he said that, everyone in the hall turned their gazes towards Yang Kai. Obviously, the several Emperor Senior three-layer mirrors present knew the name of the Golden Armor Heavenly Book, and also knew the existence of this Emperor treasure. In the Star Boundary, although there are many Emperor treasures, there are only so many famous Emperor treasures. For example, the mountain and river clock in Yang Kai's hand is a prehistoric treasure that even the great Emperor is jealous of. Although Tan Junhao's Golden Armored Book of Heaven is not as good as Shan Bell, it is not an ordinary Emperor's treasure, but the top one. Yang Kai frowned, a not-so-good feeling welled up in his heart, and finally said, the Golden Armored Book is with me. As he spoke, He took out the golden armored heavenly book and held it in the palm of his hand. The golden light was shining, and several pairs of pupils were instantly attracted to it. Lan Xuan nodded, and said softly, "This is Senior Brother Yang. Father hopes that you can return the golden armor book to me and take it back." As soon as these words came out, Yang Kai's face sank, knowing that his premonition had come true. He couldn't be more clear about the power of the golden armored book of heaven. At that time, if he hadn't been careless and underestimated the enemy when he was fighting against Tan Junhao, he only needed to show the full power of the golden armored book of heaven. If Yang Kai wanted to kill him, he would have to pay more and more. The price, maybe you can't get it even if you try your best. Naturally, he didn't want to hand over such a good treasure to others, and he had also refined the golden armored heavenly book for a while, so he was able to use one or two magical powers and secret techniques, so he liked this thing very much. Now that Lan Xuan asked him to return it with just one sentence, it was really unacceptable to him. If it is not returned, there is definitely no benefit, but he knows that since it is a negotiation, the Xingshan Palace will definitely not force it. He looked up at Lan Xuan, wanting to hear what she had to say next. "Senior Brother Yang, the golden armored book of heaven is your trophy. Logically speaking, my Star God Palace has no right to ask you to let it out. It is just so that Senior Brother Yang knows that this golden armored book of heaven is not only an emperor's treasure, but also a treasure that will open my eyes. The key to a secret place in the Star God Palace. The key to open the secret realm." Yang Kai was shocked. "That's right." Lan Xuan nodded slightly. "There is a secret realm in my Star God Palace called Taishu Illusion Realm. It is an independent small world, and only the golden armored book can be opened. This is also known by Elder Xiao and Elder Shui of." Both Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao nodded aside, indicating that what Lan Xuan said was true. It's too illusory. I know this secret realm." Wen Zishan also echoed, "It's just that I didn't expect that this secret realm would require a golden armor book to open. In the past, this secret realm was under the control of Tan Junhao, so the golden armored book of heaven was in his hands. If this key is lost, the secret realm will no longer be able to be opened, and it will be a huge loss to my Star God Palace. There are still dozens of disciples trapped in the place where many disciples of my Star God Palace have practiced and cannot come out." Lan Xuan looked at Yang Kai sincerely, so no matter what, Lan Xuan hopes that Yang Kai can return the golden armor book before coming. "My father told me that if Senior Brother Yang can return the golden armored heavenly book, you can choose one of the 3 conditions and the Star God Palace will satisfy you." Yang Kai's eyes brightened. "Which 3 conditions?" If the Star God Palace really had to take back the golden armor heavenly book, Yang Kai might not be able to twist his thighs, so he could only pinch his nose to accept it, but now Lan Xuan actually proposed 3 conditions, which made him a lot more psychologically balanced. The first one is that Star God Palace compensates Senior Brother Yang with 200 million source crystals, high-grade source crystals. Lan Xuan said. Wen Zishan's expression changed when he heard the words. 200 million high-grade source crystals, this is not a small amount. Ordinary emperor treasures are only worth 10 to 20 million yuan, and better ones are worth 30 to 40 million yuan. The figure of 200 million is very real. The golden armored heavenly book is definitely not worth so much as an emperor treasure, but it is the key to a secret realm, so its value is much higher. To be continued. This text is provided by the Dawn Update Group at ch8296929 Dian Hanji. Chapter 2771 The Third. Not everyone can own such a huge amount of 200 million top-grade source crystals, which is equivalent to the total income of the entire Qingyang Temple for several years. Even Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao's expressions turned hot when they heard it. On the other hand, Yang Kai's expression was flat, as if what he heard was not 200 million, but 20 million, 2 million. This couldn't help but amaze the few people present. In the end, Yang Kai is only a emperor senior realm who has just broken through not long ago. Even if he has some net worth, he can't be too rich, but why can he remain indifferent in front of such a huge amount of wealth? How did they know that Yang Kai's net worth is now rich, and 200 million high-grade source crystals are really nothing to him? What about the second condition? Yang Kai asked indifferently. The strangeness in Lan Xuan's eyes faded away, and he said softly, "The second condition is that you can ask my father 3 questions, no matter what kind of questions you ask." As soon as the words came out, Shui Zhengmao and Xiao Yuyang suddenly became short of breath, with fanatic expressions on their faces. Although they are the elders of the Star God Palace, they hold high positions and weights in the Star God Palace, under one person and above 10,000 people, but it is not so easy to see the great emperor. It may not be possible to meet each other for more than 10 years, let alone ask the emperor questions. If they can get such an opportunity like Yang Kai, the two of them will be very happy, because no matter what the martial artist is, there must be many puzzling doubts in the martial arts. I am afraid that only the emperor can answer the doubts of strong people at their level. Just a few words from the emperor may make his own strength improve by leaps and bounds. It can be said that although this second condition is not as intuitive as 200 million top-grade source crystals, its value is much greater than the first one. Yuanjing can be earned in the future, but such a good thing as asking the emperor 3 questions is not something that can be obtained casually. Even Wen Zishan had a look of emotion when he heard it, and turned his head to look at Yang Kai, hoping that he would agree. Unexpectedly, Yang Kai's expression was still faint, and he pondered for a while and said, "Then what about the third condition?" Lan Xuan said, "The third condition is that you can enter the 5-color pagoda of my Star God Palace and practice for a month." Yang Kai nodded. The 3 conditions have already been issued. To be honest, Star God Palace's approach is indeed very sincere, no matter which condition is enough for Yang Kai to return the golden armored book. This emperor treasure must be returned. Yang Kai raised his head and asked Lan Xuan while holding the golden armored heavenly book. Lan Xuan looked apologetic. "Senior brother Yang, I hope you will show compassion to the dozens of disciples of my Star God Palace who are trapped in the secret realm. Without this golden armored heavenly book, it would be impossible to open that illusory realm, and the dozens of disciples trapped in it would never be able to get out of it." Yang Kai sighed and said, "Then I will choose the third one." Lan Xuan was overjoyed at first, then said in astonishment, "Don't think about it again." Wen Zishan also persuaded, "Yang Kai, you may wish to think carefully about this matter. Since the emperor has agreed to these 3 conditions, he will not force you to make a choice right away, wait until you think clearly before making a choice." "Not too late." Yang Kai shook his head and said, "No need, I will choose the third one." Wen Zishan opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say much. Thinking in his shoes, if he were Yang Kai, he would definitely choose the second one. Although the 5-color pagoda is impressive, practicing in it depends on chance. If there is no chance, not to mention only practicing for a month, or practicing for a year or 10 years, you may not get anything. It is far better to ask the emperor 3 questions face to face. He didn't know what kind of fuss Yang Kai had, but in the end it was Yang Kai's own business, and since he had a choice, he certainly couldn't persuade him much. Lan Xuan was obviously also very surprised, because when she thought about it, the possibility of Yang Kai choosing the second condition was as high as 90%, but she didn't want the progress of the matter to be somewhat different from what she predicted, so she just nodded in the end and said, "The Star God Palace is ready at any time. Waiting for senior brother Yang to drive." Yang Kai nodded, and with a movement of spiritual mind, he erased the imprint of the soul in the golden armor heavenly book, and returned the emperor treasure to Lan Xuan, who received it in the space ring. The matter was over. Wen Zishan immediately enthusiastically invited Lan Xuan and others to stay in the Qingyang temple for a few more days, but Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao didn't have this intention at all, so they even offered to leave. Lan Xuan's task is completed, so naturally he has to leave. Before leaving, Yang Kai suddenly said, "Junior sister Lan, stay here, I have some private matters to ask you." Lan Xuan turned back and let Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao go out to wait. The two of them naturally had no objection, but Xiao Chen had the cheek to stay, his expression worried about letting Yang Kai and Lan Xuan be alone, full of hostility. "Senior brother Xiao, you go out too." Lan Xuan glanced at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen opened his mouth, and was about to say something, when he met Shang Lan Xuan's beautiful eyes. He couldn't help but froze, swallowed all the words that came to his mouth, glared at Yang Kai bitterly, turned and left. After a while, only Yang Kai and Lan Xuan were left in the hall. Lan Xuan smiled slightly and said, "There is no one else here, what does senior brother Yang want to ask?" Yang Kai Dao. Junior sister Lan just said that she has been to Spirit Beast Island not long ago. Lan Xuan nodded and said, "That's right, about 3 months ago, my father was invited by Senior Beast Warrior to take me to the eastern region. Then junior sister Lan can see Senior Jufeng on Spirit Beast Island." Yang Kai's expression changed. "Aunt Jufeng." Lan Xuan was a little surprised. She thought that Yang Kai kept her here to inquire about Mo Shaoqi, but she didn't know that it was Jufeng who came up to ask. As far as she knew, Yang Kai and Zhufeng didn't seem to have any intersection. She shook her head and said, I haven't seen it before. After a pause, he said again, however, I heard from Sister Shaoqi that Aunt Zhufeng has been in retreat recently, so she shouldn't be disturbed easily. Yang Kai raised his eyebrows, thoughtful. Zhufeng is retreating, it must have something to do with Luyan. After the broken star sea came out, Luyan fused with the real fire of the phoenix, turned into phoenix eggs and was brought back to Spirit Beast Island by Zhufeng. There is no news so far. At that time, Zhufeng said that the shortest time is 1 year, and the delay is 3 to 5 years, and things will be resolved. Although there is 9 Phoenix Protector, Lu Yan has taken some risks in accepting the Phoenix inheritance this time, which made Yang Kai feel a little worried. I wanted to get some news from Lan Xuan, but I didn't want Lan Xuan to know nothing. Seeing his disappointed expression, Lan Xuan looked puzzled, wondering why Yang Kai and Zhufeng got involved again. After pondering for a while, Yang Kai said, by the way, there is another matter I want to ask junior sister Lan for help. Lan Xuan smiled and said, Brother Yang has something to do, but it's okay to say it. Yang Kai Dao, does junior sister Lan recognize a person named Watching Si? She is also a disciple of the Star God Palace, and the master is that Tan Junhao. Half an hour later, Lan Xuan came out of the hall. Xiao Chen, who had been waiting outside, greeted Lan Xuan immediately, and looked at Lan Xuan nervously, as if she was in danger of suffering. Seeing that Lan Xuan was safe and sound, followed Yang Kai who came out had a gloomy expression on his face, and his mood immediately improved. Senior brother Yang, whenever you want to go to Star God Palace, you can go there anytime, junior sister is waiting for you. Lan Xuan turned back and said to Yang Kai. Junior sister Lan, go slowly. Yang Kai nodded absently. Lan Xuan gestured to Xiao Yuyang and Shui Zhengmao, and they immediately turned into streamers and rushed towards the sky. On the Wansheng Peak, many guests watched quietly. The canonization ceremony has been completed, and Yang Kai also received the Elder Jade Plate of Qingyang Temple, and he will be the Elder of Qingyang Temple from now on. It's fine if it's an ordinary elder, the key is that Yang Kai showed his hand in full view before, and used the courage of blood to fight Shui Zhengmao, and even injured Shui Zhengmao. Although he seemed to be injured badly, no matter this, both courage and strength are enough to make people face up to it. The arrival of Lan Xuan and the peaceful departure of everyone in the Star God Palace also made these guests smell something different. So at this moment, many people looked at Yang Kai differently, no longer looking at the juniors with the eyes of an elder, but with a level eye. During the short silence, under the mobilization of many high-level people in Qingyang Temple, the atmosphere became active again. Although the canonization ceremony has been completed, it is a rare event for so many emperors to gather together, and on the site of Qingyang Temple, it is natural not to neglect the guests. Wen Zishan also took Yang Kai to walk around the field, toasting one by one, let him get acquainted with many emperor senior realm people in the southern region, maybe there will be some contacts in the future. After walking down, Yang Kai saw many familiar faces. Impermanence of Tianwu Holy Land, Zhuang Bufan of Wuhua Palace, Luo Yuan of Bafangmen, these few Yang Kai have dealt with each other. These up-and-comers who have shown amazing brilliance in the Daoyuan realm in the past have all been promoted to Emperor Zun now. Impermanence and Zhuang Bufan are fortunate to say that they are the rising stars of the southern region, and their status in their respective sects is the same as that of Sha Sheng in the Qingyang Temple. The cultivation resources and treatment they have are unimaginable. On the contrary, Luo Yuan, who was born in Bafang sect is just a small faction, even worse than the original Biu sect, but he insisted on relying on his extraordinary aptitude and perseverance to aspire to the emperor's realm, and now he has taken over Bafang sect. The door has become the owner of the Bafang gate. When this guy stared at Yang Kai, his face was burning with fighting spirit, as if he wanted to fight Yang Kai at any time. If it weren't for Yang Kai's big day today, I'm afraid he would have already launched a challenge. After 3 rounds of wine, 5 flavors of dishes, all the people walked around, pushing and changing glasses, or in groups of 3 or 4, or communicating in pairs, exchanging greetings. Most of the emperors who came here brought their own disciples and juniors, which just opened their eyes. Young Master Yang, we meet again. A wisp of fragrance came with the wind, and a plump figure stuck to Yang Kai's side, and he smiled before saying anything. No, I should call you Elder Yang. Yang Kai turned his head and looked, and saw a beautiful young woman standing with a wine glass full. Perhaps because of the wine, her pretty face was pink, and even her fair neck was red all over, very attractive. Palace Master Hua. Yang Kai recognized the person, smiled slightly, and raised his glass as a gesture. To be continued. Chapter 2772 Exchange Meeting. I didn't have time to thank you for saving my life last time, so I would like to offer you a glass. Open black lens bracket. Close black lens bracket. Hua Yulu raised her glass and drank it down. Although the lord of the Baihua Palace seemed to be weak, and the wind was blowing, she also had the courage to be a woman. After drinking all the wine, her face became more and more flushed. Palace Master Hua is too polite, but because of Tan Junhao's matter, Palace Master Hua was questioned by Xingshan Palace. Yang Kai smiled slightly and drank the wine in his glass. Hua Yulu shook her head and said, I didn't get embarrassed, I just asked a few questions. I told the truth, didn't I make it difficult for Elder Yang? Yang Kai chuckled and said, Palace Master Hua has helped me by telling the truth, how could it make it difficult for me? Hua Yulu showed a relieved expression, turned her head to look around, and said softly, why is there no sign of Sha Sheng? Last time in Liang City, Hua Yulu said that she was Sha Sheng's friend. Now it seems that these two people are really old acquaintances, otherwise Hua Yulu would not be so concerned. Senior brother Sha is on duty at Linggu Palace, and I'm afraid he won't be back in a short time. Yang Kai explained. If Palace Master Hua wants to find senior brother Sha, you might as well go to Linggu Palace to have a look. Is that so? Hua Yulu revealed a look of disappointment. While talking, Gao Shueding suddenly walked over with a cold face. Hua Yulu immediately said, Elder Yang is busy, I turn around. After speaking, she turned and left. How is your injury? Gao Shueding approached Yang Kai and asked softly, but her eyes were fixed on Hua Yulu's back. It's okay, Yang Kai replied. He was hit on the chest by Shui Zhengmao, and he would have to lie down for a few days if he was at the other Emperor senior level, but Yang Kai's physical fitness is extremely strong, and now he is wearing the Feihong Black Dragon armor, so it's just a few broken bones, and no internal organs are injured. Even if such injuries are ignored, they will heal within a day or two. How do you know that woman? Gao Shueding asked without thinking, with a disgusted expression on her face. Yang Kai Dao. I saw it last time in Liang City, what's wrong? It's nothing. If you are injured, go to recuperate. If you have nothing to do, ignore these dubious guys. Dubious. Gao Shueding seems to have a big prejudice against Hua Yulu. Realizing this, Yang Kai didn't dare to say anything casually. Gao Shueding snatched the wine glass from his hand. He opened the mouth and said, there will be an exchange meeting between Emperor Senior Realms later, and there may be something good. If you are interested, come and have a look. Exchange meeting. Yang Kai was really interested. Gao Shueding nodded and said, it is rare for so many emperors to gather together. Naturally, we must take the opportunity to communicate with each other. This is also the meaning of the Hall Master. It will be held by our Qingyang Temple. Well, if you have any unnecessary treasures it can also be exchanged. Okay, call me then. Yang Kai nodded. Go. Gao Shueding waved her hand. The canonization ceremony is over, and Yang Kai has truly become the elder of the temple, but time is short and he doesn't have his own residence, so he can only return to Purple Bamboo Peak. After half a day of adjusting breath and meditating to heal the injury, by the evening, the injury has basically recovered. The communication compass placed next to it moved slightly. Yang Kai stretched out his hand to pick it up, swept away his spiritual mind, and stood up. It is still Wansheng Peak, but this time the exchange meeting will be in the main hall. Many guests should have received the news a long time ago, so not many people left, only a few 3 or 5 people. It was really urgent, otherwise they would definitely not miss this kind of exchange meeting. Several disciples of the Qingyang Temple at the gate were in charge of reception. After seeing Yang Kai, they all showed respectful expressions, and bowed their heads. Elder Yang. Yang Kai nodded. Strode in. At a glance, the hall was already full of people. Basically all the guests during the day were present. There were hundreds of Emperor Zunjing and the disciples and descendants they brought. Although there are many people. But the scene was orderly, without the slightest noise, and even if there was any communication, it was quietly transmitted in private. The hall is brightly lit, reflecting like daylight. This way. Still turning his head to find the location, Gao Shueding's voice suddenly came from his ear. Yang Kai followed the sound and saw Gao Shueding sitting on a chair on the left side of the hall and beckoning to him. Yang Kai smiled slightly, and walked over there. This area seems to be where the elders of the Qingyang Temple are sitting, except for Gao Shueding, the elders in the gate such as Chen Qian, Di Rong, Yuku and others are all here, and when they see Yang Kai coming, they all show good-natured smiles. Yang Kai greeted everyone one by one, and then sat next to Gao Shueding. Junior brother, have you ever participated in such an exchange meeting? Gao Shueding suddenly turned her head and asked. Yang Kai was stunned for a moment, then looked at the other side of himself. No one was there. He suddenly came back to his senses, stared at Gao Shueding and said, Elder Gao, are you talking to me? Gao Shueding scoffed, if I don't talk to you, I'll talk to ghosts. Chen Qian pursed her lips and chuckled on the other side of Gao Shueding, and explained, Yang Kai, you are now promoted to Emperor Zun, and you are also an elder of the temple. Naturally, you have to discuss friendship with our peers. This is the rule of the temple. Yang Kai looked embarrassed, scratched his head and said, I didn't react for a while. Before today, I always regarded myself as a disciple in front of Gao Shueding, but suddenly I became a junior, and my status has grown a lot. This change is really too abrupt. But if you think about it, Yang Kai is almost the same as Gao Shueding and the others in terms of cultivation and status, and he does have the qualifications to be friends of the same generation. Call senior sister to listen. Gao Shueding looked at him solemnly. Senior sister Gao. Yang Kai grinned, his adaptability is also extremely strong. It's so good, but it's a pity that there is no reward. Gao Shueding twitched her lips and asked again, have you participated in such an exchange meeting? No. Yang Kai shook his head. He has participated in many auctions, but he has only heard of such high-level exchange meetings, but I know the basic rules, barter. That's right. Gao Shueding nodded. When the cultivation base reaches the Emperor Prestige realm, the value of source crystals doesn't seem so important. Many good things can't be bought with source crystals, so many times everyone likes to take things directly. Exchange, of course, does not rule out someone exchanging source crystals. Everything depends on what kind of exchange conditions the owner of the treasure puts forward. Yang Kai remembered Gao Shueding's words one by one in his heart, and kept nodding his head. This kind of humbly asking for advice made Gao Shueding extremely satisfied. After waiting for a while, the door of the All Saints Hall creaked and closed after a while. Yang Kai knew that this exchange meeting should start soon. Sure enough, the moment the gate was closed, a half-grown old man flew onto the high platform. It was none other than Chu Ran, the vice master of Qingyang Temple. As the organizer, Qingyang Temple naturally wanted to be the first to play to mobilize the atmosphere. With a light cough, Chu Ran said, thank you for your support, so that tonight's exchange meeting can be held smoothly. The old man hereby wishes you all a successful start and a fruitful return. There is no need to say more about the rules. The exchange meeting will be held now. At the beginning, my temple will first throw bricks to attract jade, and I hope you can bring out all the good things. With a wave of his hand, a jade bottle appeared in his hand. Holding the jade bottle slightly, Chu Ran said, Taiwei Soul Refining Pill, an Emperor-level low-grade panacea, is taken by the Emperor, and it can also be refined and absorbed. The power of the soul has greatly increased. If it can be supplemented with the secret technique of the soul, the effect will be even better. There are 3 elixir in the bottle, only the source crystal is auctioned, and you can bid as you like. As soon as the words fell, more than half of the Emperor's senior realm present showed signs of emotion. Without him, D-Daner. It is not so easy to find Emperor-level spirit pills. If you want to refine Emperor-level spirit pills, only Emperor alchemists can do it. But looking at the entire star world, how many Emperor alchemists are there? Even a big sect like Qingyang Temple doesn't have its own Emperor alchemist. There is an Emperor alchemy master sitting in the Ziwen Chamber of Commerce, but that Master Wangfu has a full alchemy schedule. Even if he wants to ask him for alchemy, he may have to queue for several years before it is his turn. In the star world, the spirit pills below Emperor Pill are easy to talk about. After all, although the number of Daoyuan level alchemists is not many, there are also many. However, such things as Emperor pills are basically hard to come by. Qingyang Temple, as the organizer, actually took out 3 Taiwei soul refining pills at once, which is enough to show sincerity. And only source crystals are auctioned, which also gives all the emperors present a chance to participate in it. So as soon as Chu Ran's voice fell, the voices of bids came one after another, and the old quotations were replaced by new ones just after they appeared. For a while, the Hall of All Saints was as lively as a vegetable market. Shouting, blushing and thick neck, a posture of inevitable victory. Yang Kaiban was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that the temple would take out the emperor pill for auction as soon as he came, even if it was to throw a brick to attract jade. The weight of this brick is really not light. But after thinking about it, I suddenly understood something. The biggest purpose of Taiwei soul refining pill is to temper the power of the soul. After taking it, supplemented with the cultivation of the soul secret technique, it will definitely increase the power of the soul. But this effect does not seem to be of much use to the emperor senior realm of the temple. Because Qingyang Temple has a magic mirror. When he came to the Qingyang Temple at the beginning of the year, Wen Zishan told Yang Kai that the warriors in the Qingyang Temple have a higher level of cultivation than other martial artists, and the reason is in the mirror. The immortal mirror itself is a secret place to enhance the power of the soul. The emperors in the temple only need to go in and practice once, and the effect is probably infinitely better than taking any Taiwei soul refining pill. If you want to increase the power of your soul, you just need to enter the immortal travel mirror. What kind of didan do you take? In other words, the value of this Taiwei soul refining pill may not be very high in the eyes of the emperors in the Qingyang Temple, as you can see from the indifferent expressions of Chen Qian and others. After figuring this out, Yang Kai secretly laughed. 5 million. Suddenly, a voice sounded, and the scene fell silent. The quotation of 5 million high-grade source crystals immediately discouraged the rest of the emperors, and the price basically reached the limit. People who can cultivate to Emperor Senior Realm are not fools, and naturally they will not randomly spend source crystals randomly. This is just the beginning, and God knows what good things will come later. To be continued. Dash 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 dash. Dash 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 dash. Chapter 2773 Taiwan Divine Water. In the end, this bottle of 3 Taiwei soul refining pills was bought by an old man in red at the price of 5 million top-grade source crystals. This red-robed old man seems to be the suzerain of a third-class sect. His surname is Yu, but Yang Kai can't remember the specific name. Today, when Wen Zishan led him to toast, he had a face-to-face meeting with this red-robed old man, but even if Yang Kai had a good memory, he still couldn't remember hundreds of Emperor's senior stage names in one day. It can also be said that I am too lazy to remember. Next, Chu Ran took out 2 more treasures, like the Taiwei soul refining pill, both of which were auction source crystals, which made the Emperor's senior realm present plunder for a while, and were finally auctioned by a man and a woman at high prices. After the 3 treasures, the atmosphere of the exchange meeting was suddenly mobilized. After Chu Ran left the stage, the red-robed old man who had taken too little of the soul refining pill was the first to jump up to the high platform, made a bow and said with a smile, "The little old man is making a fool of himself." While speaking, he lifted his hand, and a crimson berry appeared on the palm of his hand, and said, 3,000 years of blue blood red dragon fruit, exchange for a water attribute elixir or emperor pill of the same value. As soon as the blue blood red dragon fruit appeared, a strange fragrance wafted in the hall, which made people feel refreshed and shocked. The Emperor Senior Realm people present are all people with good eyesight. Naturally, they know that this green blood red dragon fruit is a rare treasure, and many people are immediately moved, especially those who have practiced fire attribute techniques or secret techniques, even more eagerly. Immediately, 4 or 5 rings were thrown from below silently. The red-robed old man took it, inspected them one by one, with a look of consideration on his face, and finally left one of the rings, returned the rest, walked down the high platform, and handed over the blue-blooded red dragon fruit in his hand to the exchanger. People. An old man in red made a good start, and the subsequent exchanges became more and more lively, and the frequency was extremely fast. When one Emperor Senior Realm comes down, another Emperor Senior Realm rushes up immediately. Take out your own barter and make an offer of exchange. Except for a few martial artists who opened their mouths or the conditions were too harsh, everyone else basically got what they wanted. Yang Kai sat under the stage and had no intention of participating in it for the time being. But it was fun to watch. Although he is now rich and looks down on ordinary treasures, but the treasures that can go to this exchange meeting are all the treasures of those Emperor Senior Realm, and all kinds of strange treasures have opened Yang Kai's eyes. I have greatly expanded my own knowledge, and I will not fail to recognize people who are similar in the future. Even Chen Qian and Di Rong, the 2 elders of the Qingyang Temple, made a move each, exchanging something they needed from the emperors next to them. Some people may suffer a little loss in this kind of exchange, but it is actually harmless. If the value of the exchange items between the 2 parties is really different, then use source crystals to make up for it. The people present have almost the same vision. No one will let anyone take too much advantage, and it is impossible to miss something here. Is there anything you want? Gao Shueding asked suddenly via voice transmission. Yang Kai shook his head and replied, let's see and talk. If you want anything, just tell your senior sister Chen. Your senior sister Chen is in charge of the warehouse of the temple. It's okay to change one or two things for you. It can be regarded as a little benefit for you when you first become the elder of the temple. The two were talking, when suddenly a strange fluctuation came from the high platform. Everyone fixed their eyes together and saw that on the high platform, a middle-aged man held a transparent porcelain vase in his hand. Some bodies swayed slightly, and the strange power fluctuations were just emitted by this water drop-like existence. This is... Yang Kai's eyes lit up, and he vaguely felt that he had seen this thing before. Just when I was thinking about it, there was an exclamation in my ear, Tai Shenshui. There was an uproar among the emperors, and everyone's eyes brightened a little, staring fixedly at the body in the porcelain vase. Sure enough, it was Tai divine water. Yang Kai also remembered it now. I have indeed seen this thing, in the Temple of Time in the Land of Four Seasons. There was once a drop of Tai Shenshui. But the Tai Shenshui was finally found by Mirong Shaoji, and now I don't know if it has been used. In the star world, there are three major divine waters. The divine water for cleansing the soul, the nectar of life, and the source of immortality, each of which is created by heaven and earth, and has a huge effect on the growth of warriors. Yang Kai has obtained all the three major divine waters, but there is another kind of divine water, although it is not listed among the three major divine waters, but whether it is value or efficacy, it is better than the three major divine waters. That is Tai Shenshui. Because the function of this thing is only to promote the birth of elixir, it has little effect on the warrior itself, so it is not included in the sequence of the three major divine waters, but no one can deny its rarity. If a elixir plant can be nourished by a drop of Tai Shenshui, then the growth period can be greatly shortened, and it may grow to hundreds of years in a year, and there is no harm, just like growing naturally. Tai divine water is also the divine water most desired by those alchemists. Just imagine, it takes hundreds of years for a precious elixir to mature, but if there is a drop of Tai Shenshui, it may bloom and bear fruit next year, and it can be used for alchemy. The medicine garden in Yang Kai's mysterious small world is sealed with countless heavy soils, and there are also many earth vein beads, which also have the effect of promoting the birth of elixir. Many elixir medicines grow in the mysterious Shaoji medicine garden, and 1 year can last for 100 years in the outside world, and their effects are similar to those of Tai divine water, but Yang Kai is still fascinated by this Tai divine water. Because the Kang tree may need to use the Tai Shenshui to generate the power of the seal. The sealing power contained in the gold and silver Kang tree can seal the ancient devil energy in Yang Kai's body, but if Yang Kai uses the enchanting method, the seal can be broken, and then he will need to rely on the power of the Kang tree again seal the demon energy, otherwise you will definitely become a demon. The Tai divine water in the hands of the middle-aged man on the stage is not much, only 3 or 5 drops at most. If it falls into the hands of others, it can only give birth to a few precious elixir, but in the hands of Yang Kai, at the critical moment maybe you can save your life. Thinking about it in his heart, Yang Kai already had a plan. The middle-aged man on the stage looked around and said with a slight smile, I don't think there is any need to explain the name of Tai Shenshui. You can see the bid yourself, but I don't need yuanjing. If there is a suitable one, I will change it. Gone. These words sounded too cunning, and they didn't offer any terms of exchange, but it gave people the feeling of a lion opening their mouths, which made many emperors in the audience very unhappy. But things belong to others, whether to change them or not, how to change them is their business. Even if I feel upset, I can only admit it with my nose. After a moment of silence, one after another space rings flew up to the high platform and threw them at the middle-aged man. The rings were obviously filled with exchange items. Yang Kai also put something in his space ring, and it was absolutely sincere. He has too many good things in his hands, and he doesn't care about such a small loss. As long as he can exchange for Tai Shenshui, a little effort is naturally worthwhile. The middle-aged man checked the contents of the space ring one by one, but returned those rings to the audience one by one, which made many emperors look disappointed, and secretly gritted their teeth, thinking that this guy was greedy. They thought that the items in their rings were enough to exchange for the Tai Shenshui, but they were returned. When it was Yang Kai's turn to get the ring, the middle-aged man glanced at it but did not return it right away, but pondered for a while, held it in his hand, and continued to check other rings. This detail moved Yang Kai, knowing that his ring met his requirements, but he hadn't made a decision yet. After a while, when the middle-aged man found another ring, his eyes lit up, and without any hesitation, he returned Yang Kai's space ring. Yang Kai's face turned black, and he was holding the ring with a depressed expression on his face. He felt that the asking price was generous enough, and it was impossible for others to offer something with a higher price, but the owner of Tai Shenshui did not choose him. In this way, there are only two possibilities. One possibility is that someone else's asking price is higher. This possibility is not great. Yang Kai sitting here, dare to call the second wealth, no one dares to call the first. Then the rest is another possibility. The exchange item sent by the other party is exactly what the middle-aged man urgently needs, and it hits his fancy all at once. Thank you for your love, I decided to exchange it with this friend. The middle-aged man checked all the rings, and then smiled, and threw the porcelain bottle containing Tai Shenshui to the audience. One of them reached out to take it and stuffed it into his space ring. Yang Kai glanced at that person, silently remembering that person's appearance. The exchange meeting is still going on, and good things are presented from time to time, attracting people to loot them, but all the people present are the strong ones in the Emperor state, so it is impossible to mess up the order, so no matter how hot the scene is, it is orderly. Basically anyone can exchange for items they are satisfied with, only a few people are disappointed. An hour later, a short old man walked up to the stage, with a kind smile on his face, which made people feel good at first glance, and said, I don't have anything very good, but since I came, I can't empty my hands. And then, there is one thing now, and I would like to invite you to appreciate it together. While speaking, he took out something like a rouge box. The rouge box is not big, only about the size of a palm. It is extremely delicate and beautiful, with fluorescent dots on the surface, so beautiful that many women who are sitting here are looking at it, and their eyes are bright. But everyone knows that this box is definitely not a rouge box, and what can be taken out by Emperor Senior Realm is not a mortal thing. One after another, the divine thoughts swept over to check the internal reality. After a while, many Emperor Senior Realm members became strange expressions. Look, everyone, the old man smiled slightly, and reached out to touch the lid of the box. The next moment, a soft and melodious ding-dong sound came out of the box, composing a simple but magical melody. The sound seemed to contain a strange power, turning into an invisible jade hand, smoothing every breath. The anxiety and urgency in one's heart suddenly calmed one's mood. To be continued.